By the time humans were able to generate and contain dark matter, it took us a couple of years before we could build the revolutionary technology needed to destroy black holes. So, once the Earth started to be attracted by the large gravitational field of the black hole at the edge of the galaxy, we were more than prepared to face it. We quickly adapted a spacecraft to have the ability to capture, contain, and destroy the dark matter. The mechanism behind this addition was highly complex and difficult to understand. Less than a century ago, the destruction of this kind of matter was considered impossible, but we had achieved it. It was then that the team that would be sent on the mission was assembled. We were all experienced astronauts who had been thoroughly trained to make contact with the black hole. The mission was almost suicidal. If we were trapped in the gravitational field of the hole, we wouldn't be able to escape. Foreseeing this, we were even forced to sign a liability waiver and to prepare a will in case things went wrong. When the technology on which your life depends has only been tested under ideal conditions in laboratories, it's natural to feel worried. Anyway, not completing the mission was not an option. If we failed, we would die. We would be sucked into the black hole, and all those who were dear to us would be able to do nothing but watch as death rapidly approached them. If we succeeded, we'd all be saved. I felt no fear when we were ejected into the stratosphere, neither when the gravity of the hole facilitated our goals. Feeling fear was not an option. Our trip lasted exactly 311 days. In normal conditions, reaching the ends of our galaxy would take 100,000 light years. We made it in less than a year. Any doubt that our planet was in danger was overmastered by the immensity of the dark monster that was in front of us. The feeling of approaching a black hole is indescribable. There's no light, and there seems to be nothing around me besides my consciousness. Activating the machinery wasn't easy, and the lack of light only made it more complicated. We had been trained to execute the controls blindly. We just didn't count on Richard having a fulminant cardiac arrest. In the last seconds of consciousness, I could experience how my body was stretched and crushed by gravity until I was thinner than a sheet of paper. My bones ached as they were broken. My internal organs burned, and I could feel the blood seeping from every pore in my body. The pain was so intense that I collapsed in the remains of my seat in the ship that folded like origami. When I awoke, my eyes were burned by a bright light that hurt my retinas. I thought I had reached heaven. I'd never really been a believer, but it was the only explanation my aching brain could conceive. It will come as no surprise to you that my assumptions were wrong. Not only was I not dead, my body was in perfect condition. The pain I felt was only in my head. My crewmates also seemed as alive as I. Except Richard, of course, and the three of them that didn't seem to have signs of evident damage. The ship, on the other hand, it was completely destroyed. I got up from the floor. My chair no longer existed. I went to check the front panel. It was completely ruined, emitting sparks and smoke. Since my crewmates didn't wake up, I went to check what we had left. There wasn't much. We'd kept the suits and the oxygen tanks and nothing else. The ship had large gaps where the machinery to trap the dark matter should be, and also where the food storage was supposed to be, and I didn't even know where we were. I peeked through one of the gaps on the side of the ship and looked where we had landed. It seemed to be a planet, an inhabited planet. The sky of this unknown planet was bright purple. No clouds present. The ground was covered with some sort of algae that resembled red, moist sponge. And looking at the horizon, several stark-looking mountains could be seen. And the animals, I had no idea what they were, but creatures of the most diverse and bizarre appearance covered this red plain. They seemed to be very interested in us. I ran to lift my crewmates from the ground, and they looked at me confused as their minds emerged into consciousness. There was no time for any explanations, and I ordered them to take only essentials with them and not to bother to put on their suits. Obviously, we didn't need them. We had no time to wonder how we had escaped from the black hole as we tried to blend in with the environment to avoid attracting the creature's attention. We stuck very close to the ground all the way. It stained us with some kind of red ink that spread the plants as we stepped on them. We advanced very slowly, without being able to speak. Our training had not conditioned us for this. They, my crewmates, followed me with the trust that is only placed in a leader, and I begged anyone who would listen to guide me along the right path. The sun had been replaced by darkness when we reached the base of the mountain. We quickly checked the first cave we came across, and to our surprise and good fortune, found that it was empty. We barely managed to lie down, huddled on the ground, when we were overcome by exhaustion. I'm sure that a day on that planet is much longer than one on Earth, because when we woke up hours later, the sky was still dark. We waited until the sun peeked over the horizon before we dared to leave the safety of the cave. The night's sleep had not helped to alleviate the confusion we felt. Craig had managed to bring along a portable radio with him, but it was unable to pick up any signal. We were completely lost. Lost and alone. Determined to survive, we walked at least half of the way we had done the day before in search of water. If we didn't drink some kind of liquid, we wouldn't last more than 3 days. It took us some time, but we finally got to a stream with a crystal clear liquid. Our throats tightened as we watched it flow. We were desperate to drink something. Anything. We followed the water upstream for a couple of miles to find its source. Barely resisting the temptation to dive into the liquid, we advanced until our feet ached and didn't stop till we caught sight of the intimidating animals drinking and bathing in the stream. I saw my reflection in the gently rippling liquid. I looked disheveled, deep, dark circles under my eyes. My body was covered in red, almost like blood. My instincts were telling me that drinking from the stream would not be a good idea, but my colleagues disagreed and were very vocal about it.
We're going to die here anyway. I'd like to not suffer in the process if you don't mind,
Craig said to end the discussion we'd gotten into. The balance of power had shifted and he had prevailed over me. I had no choice but to accept the situation, and I turned around to make sure that the animals didn't attack us from behind. That's when I heard the first scream. Craig was screaming at the top of his lungs, and it wasn't more than 2 seconds before our other crewmates followed him. The 3 of them were screaming as if they were about to go crazy, tearing at their chests with their nails as if they wanted to get to their own stomachs. And when the drops of blood began to fall to the ground, the animals became aware of our presence and cautiously began to approach us. I really tried to bring them with me, but they were unable to hear me. Their screams wouldn't stop, and their eyes looked pale and glassy, as if they were no longer of this world. Finally, I had to accept that if there were no other way out, there was no other option but to run. I ran with all the strength my legs allowed me to the place where we'd spent the night. The animals didn't follow me. My companions had served as enough of a distraction. In the solitude of the rocky cave, I tried to think what to do. I couldn't contact the Earth, and I was on an unknown planet. I had nothing to drink and nothing to eat. How long could I survive? 1 week? 2? I dropped my head against the stone wall to try to cover the emotional pain with the physical pain. There would be no salvation for me. I think I will look for the most painless way to end my life. I need to kill myself before the temptation to drink that liquid to quench my thirst becomes too much to bear. The madness I saw in their eyes is more terrifying to me than any kind of death.
First? Well, there were warning signs and reasons to be worried. Something went wrong with our spaceship. The engines had malfunctioned, resulting in a quick and aggressive loss of fuel. The system was acting up, and the repairs had to be done by hand. But the fuel wasn't being carelessly dropped into space. It was pooling around the flawed engines, heating up and eventually exploding right in the face of our 2 onboard mechanics. The pain of the loss was equal to the terror of what was about to happen. Half the ship was on fire. I was the pilot. This tragic mission was in my hands, and I had to get my co-pilot back home safely. It was the least I could do. The adrenaline was rushing through my body. My heart was breaking. The alarms were threatening to split my skull in half, and my co-pilot was crying on the other seat. "Ashley, I don't want to die," she yelled. "Ashley, do something. Oh my God, they're dead. They're really dead. Ashley, we're going to die. Please do something, please." I was trying my hardest. I was shaking all over, and her words were going to drive me insane. Because I knew she was right. This was hell. The whole thing was going to catch fire, and we would die an extremely painful death. I looked at our radar signals, desperately wishing for a miracle to come true. But there was nothing. We were alone in this cold and unforgiving corner of space. Or so we thought. The system had already failed me once today. I had no reason to rely on it, and my eyes couldn't lie. There was a planet, right there. I was seeing it myself. It wasn't a mirage, it was a miracle. If there was any chance to make it out of this burning mess alive, this was it. I cleared my throat and announced the bad news. "Patricia, get fucking ready and work with me here. We are going to perform an emergency landing on that planet ahead of us. This is life or death, okay? We'll unlatch our part of the ship and go on with the auxiliary engine. I'll get us through this, you understand? Get ready in 3, 2, 1. We pulled on our controls in perfect sync. The alarms blaring all over the ship doubled. The fire expanded. Our odds worsened. And we started to scream as if our skeletons were being ripped out of our bodies by the sudden tension inside our cabin. And then I couldn't breathe. I was seeing planet Earth right in front of me. It had been a fucking mirage all along. The blue waters, the mountains, the deserts, and the lush jungle coming closer and closer until the pressure of gravity drawing us in was enough to knock me out unconscious. I thought I was dead. I was so sure I had died. But, God, death isn't supposed to hurt this much, is it? My head is experiencing unimaginable pain. There's an awful pressure on my chest, and my lungs are on fire. Everything is painful, and I start to wish I was dying. But no. There's this incessant ringing in my ears that refuses to let me slip back into unconsciousness to never come up again. After another moment, it finally registers in my brain that what I'm hearing is an emergency alarm. It doesn't come from the ship anymore, but from inside my suit. I'm running out of oxygen. This sparks my flight or fight response. My body jerks fully into wakefulness, and I snap up to a sitting position, gasping for a lungful of air, and end up choking on my own breath. There's something wrong. My throat burns, but the smell. This isn't oxygen coming from my suit. When my eyes finally adapt to the light, I become aware of a few things. 1, my helmet broke and I'm exposed to the air around me. 2, the air isn't killing me. There's perfectly good air for me to breathe wherever I am. And 3, everything around me is an unexplainable disaster. Just like my helmet, the front glass of the pilot's cabin is broken. But I can barely believe my eyes. The thing that broke the glass is a very tall tree that looks exactly like something out of planet Earth, but apparently 1,000 times stronger. Okay, this can't be happening. We were years away from Earth, but whatever this planet is, it's not my main concern at the moment. Patricia, my co-pilot, where the hell is she? I look around me desperately with my fears growing with every passing second. Oh God, but the moment I find her, I wish I hadn't. No, but Patricia? Oh God, this can't be real. Oh, this can't be happening. She was always so full of life. She was one of the best people I have ever met. This limp and lifeless body, this can't be hers. But, oh God, it is. No. She's right there, on the floor of the cabin, lying in a puddle of her own blood. I can't tell what killed her. The impact, the crash, her head hitting the floor and cracking open, or maybe the tree's branch impaled her through the heart first. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, all of my physical pain fades into the background of this. Oh, this grief. My hands are shaking and I can't stop the tears from coming, but underneath this pain, there's a current of burning self-hatred. I failed. My mission was a disaster. The ship collapsed. I failed every member of my crew. My friends are dead. And I am all alone on this unexplainable planet. Why didn't it show up on our radars? Why didn't I even know it existed? I need someone to blame, and this planet will know all of my rage. Although my legs are shaking and I am most definitely not thinking clearly, I get out of the pilot's cabin and find one of the exit gates of what is left of the ship. It was surprisingly easy to open, considering it's half destroyed anyway. I stumble outside, shielding my eyes from the sudden light outside. I rack my brain looking for a possible source that could illuminate the planet this much. But I suspect some of it is a reaction to something in the atmosphere. I yank my helmet off my head and finally focus on the world around me. I can't believe it. This is nearly identical to a lush countryside on Earth. I could even remember hiking in similar places back home. The big pine trees, the green grass, A hill up ahead? Even some kinds of insects flying around in the nearby distance. A small explosion distracts me, and I turn to look at half of the ship, abandoned half a mile behind me. It's burning like a fire straight from hell. Just as I'm starting to wonder if there's anything salvageable, fuck! Ooh! What is this? Ah! Sharp pain looms on my right leg, and I twist and turn, wincing and screaming. Oh! I look down, and there's an animal latched onto my leg. Oh, fuck. This is bad. This is so bad. Ow! Fuck. Whatever this is, it has teeth like blades piercing through my suit. God! Oh, my skin and my muscles. God! Fuck! Let me go! I yell, shaking my leg to the best of my ability. I look around, desperate, alone, at the very least hoping for a weapon, but I lose my balance. A terrible shriek comes out of the little extraterrestrial beast as we both tumble down heavily to the ground. Despite the pain, this does the trick. That small monstrosity lets go of my leg. I close my eyes and, curl up in a ball. Oh, this is a fucking nightmare. This is fear unlike anyone else has known. I'm completely alone on a strange planet. My crew is dead, my ship is destroyed, and an alien just tried to chew through my leg. I'm shaking, and my tears run faster now. After a minute, my breathing starts to slow down. After another minute, I take the risk of moving my arms off my head and taking a look around. Whatever that animal was, it's gone now. I sit on the miraculously soft grass to assess the damage. The creature resembled some kind of large rat, maybe a monkey, judging by the way it clung to my leg, but I am confident nothing on Earth is like it. There's a tear in the leg of the suit. There's blood oozing out of my wound. There's no doubt that I'm exposed and vulnerable. I have to return to my ship and figure out the next step in this hellish scenario. I can't believe this is actually happening. I try to look for the confidence of leadership instincts that got me the role of the pilot during training. But there's nothing. I'm hollowed out and broken. My heart is burnt, and my mind is crumbling down. Yeah, I am definitely a reflection of my ship. The moment I step back inside, the whole thing rattles around me, and I hear something crash down to the floor nearby. I get goosebumps thinking about the worst. Is it just the ship falling to pieces after that hard landing? Could it be something else? Is there another violent and indestructible beast lurking in these hallways close to me? Just hovering out of sight, slithering through the shadows, observing me with hungry eyes, and getting its fangs ready to strike me down. Come out! I call them out. Come out! Come out and end me now! My life is doomed and I know it. But nothing comes. And the silence is almost as terrifying. I can't, or don't, want to do much more then hastily tie a bandage around the wound on my leg. I'm limping, and I realize with a start that I would be easy prey for any sort of animal. But what is there to fight for? The only thing I can attempt is to send a distress signal out to space and collect as much data on the planet as possible. Maybe some ship will catch my signal. Maybe a rescue mission will find my crashed ship and the dead bodies of me and my crew. If I can compile enough information about this planet, then my research could let the rest of humanity know if we found a second home, or if nobody else should ever set foot on this planet. I don't care if I live or not, but this has to be the last thing I do if I'm going to die. Sending the distress signal is easy enough, or at least it should be. It's just a quick stop on the pilot's cabin, a couple of buttons, and praying it'll reach far enough for any other ship or space station to catch it. There are only two problems. One, the body of my loved co-pilot is still lying there cold and lifeless, waiting for me. Two, I decided to take the option to add a personal message along with the signal. At first, I fear I won't find the right words, and I'll choke on my fear and my grief. However, after the agonizing loneliness I felt since crashing on the surface of this planet, the chance to talk and share the heavy weight of the horrors I've seen, well, I let it all out. This is Ashley Mitchell, pilot of the Demios space vessel, sending out an emergency call. My ship experienced a grave malfunction, which resulted in the death of 2 members of the crew and a fire in the rear of the ship. My co-pilot and I performed an emergency landing on the nearest planet, but it wasn't a success. I'm the sole survivor of the mission. The planet is an unknown case. It wasn't picked up by our radars, and it presents Earth-like qualities. I repeat, the planet heavily resembles planet Earth. I will carry out the necessary tests to professionally evaluate the planet and leave the results for the benefit of the rest of humanity, but God, please send help. Please get me out of here. Jesus Christ, I can't explain how awful it is. They're all dead, and it wasn't easy or kind. It was cruel and vicious. Their lives were ripped away by a tragedy, and I'm here alone, here carrying the burden. I'm in a nightmare. I don't know what the results will say, but this planet is a nightmare. It's Earth, but it isn't. It's hungry and dangerous and can't be trusted. I was attacked already, and if I'm lucky, I'll bleed out before something worse happens. End of the distress signal. So, in the end, I'm shaking in front of the controls and regretting half of my words. But they're all I have. There's no one here to talk things with. There's just me, and the last thing I can offer humanity. Answers. I make my way to the lab, which thankfully is close to the pilot's cabin. And this half of the ship is badly shaken, but at least safe from the fire. The small room is equipped with the best computers that technology can offer. But at the moment, I just need something simple. I thank the practicality of the system and grab a suitcase with everything I need. Then I step out of my damaged ship again. I open the suitcase on the ground and a few steps away from the ship. The tests I have to run are very simple and don't even require a lot of work on my part. There's only a few questions I'm supposed to answer. Is this planet lethal for human beings? Yes or no? Is the atmosphere appropriate? Can we breathe this air? Is the ground fertile? Is there fresh water present? I could be breathing easily right now, but unbeknownst to me, this air could be poisoning my lungs and destroying my body from the inside out with each passing second I spend here. Good. Let this hell consume me like it took my crew away from me. From the suitcase, I prepare and activate 2 devices that I stick securely on the soil at my feet. The shorter one will analyze the ground of the planet, and the tall, standing one, about half my height, will study the quality of the air. There's only 1 step left, and I consider giving up before starting. But according to the remaining device, there really is a source of water nearby. And guilt and responsibility fill me up to convince me to walk all the way there to run the last test necessary. The ship crashed in a clearing of a green area that looked like a jungle. It made me think of the Amazon rainforest, actually, which meant that one of these great trees took the life of my co-pilot. But it also means there is a river nearby. I start walking west, and before 5 minutes, I'm able to hear the murmur of the water flowing wildly. My leg is throbbing in the place where the alien animal bit me, but other than the limping a little, I managed to walk all the way to the river. If I wasn't scared out of my mind and carrying a lot of grief with me, I would have thought the place was beautiful, if a little unsettling. It's familiar but strange. It looks like a spot from Earth, but just wrong enough to make me feel unsafe. The wood of the tree trunks is the wrong shade of brown. The water moves oddly slow, and it isn't crystal clear. It's nearly a solid blue color, yet very loud. I look around in search of a wild animal I should be aware of, but find nothing too concerning. Still, I prefer not to dip my hand in those sluggish waters. Thankfully for me, the device comes with a small hose, about 2 meters long, that I can unlatch from the device, throw at the water, and wait for the system to run the test. It's quite simple. I walk as close to the river as possible, get the hose ready, and I throw it at the water like a rope. The consequences are immediate. The water tugs at the hose so fiercely that it yanks the device straight from my hands. It clatters to the ground, and I don't have time to consider picking it up before the depths of the water give it another tug and absorb the device entirely. I gasp loudly. If I had hesitated, if I held the device a little tighter, then that mysterious force would have dragged me down in the blink of an eye. What the hell is this? It's like half a dozen men were hiding under the surface of the water. They using all their force to drag into the water anything that comes too close. I was definitely too close. Before I start running away, there's a splash. I can barely believe my eyes, as if it were a fish jumping out of the surface. The water defies my sense of gravity and the laws of physics I'm aware of, and sends a splash out of the river and onto the muddy earth on the side. It falls heavily. This isn't water at all. This is a gooey, bluish substance that splatters on the ground like gelatin. It happens again and again. I become acutely aware that it's coming closer and closer. It's coming for me. I start running, but the river becomes faster. I feel a splash land on my leg, and the impact throws me off balance. It looks like a dead jellyfish stuck to my leg. But I don't feel pain or a pull to the river yet. So I ignore the next splashes that land on my thighs, and I drag my body through the mud. I am heaving by the time I reach the clearing again, and I pull myself to my feet. It takes me a few attempts because the ground is so slippery. I don't get it at first, but then I realize it wasn't like this when I last passed this area. Something has changed. Oh God, my mind is a mess, and it takes me a while to make sense of it. Did it rain while I was by the river? Why is the ground so muddy now? My eyes skim the area ahead of me until they land on the devices I left running. Or at least one of them. I can't see the shorter one. It must have sunk in the mud. I have a bad feeling about this. But I mean, I'm literally on a planet I know nothing about. I have literally nothing to compare this situation to. I have no way to know how bad this is. The only thing I can do is limp my way over to the device still stuck on the ground. The remaining device barely reaches my knee, so it sank about halfway through. This is concerning. My only relief is seeing the result displayed on the little screen. The air here is completely safe for humans. That is slightly shocking, but definitely welcomed good news. Although they're aggressively overshadowed by what happened next. First, a horrible sound. A deafening thunder coming from far underneath me. Then, a huge tremor on the ground. I thought it was an earthquake. And I thought my luck was bad enough to have crashed on a planet right during an earthquake. But no, that isn't exactly it. The mud at my feet rumbles and shakes, not like a rock splitting in half, but like the waves of the ocean during a storm. Everything turns unsteady, and from the mud comes a fetid smell that makes me gag. The still shaking ground makes me lose my balance, and I fall down to my knees. Then, I watch in horror as my hands disappear into the mud below me. I scream and yank them back quickly. I don't have time to notice the way my knees are also sinking. My attention is stolen by a new sound. It's the sound of metal being crushed under great pressure. My spaceship is getting dragged underground by an invisible force. Seeing an entire spaceship sinking down slowly into muddy soil is a staggering sight. There's no power, no strength, nothing that human resources can do to defy these horrifying forces in action on this planet. All my senses tell me to do one thing and one thing only. Run. Run away now. I completely ignore every rational part of my brain and drag myself up with every intention of making my way back inside my ship. Patricia! I yell at the top of my lungs as if her corpse could still hear me, as if my co-pilot could come back from the dead and reach out to me and get me out of this deadly trap. Patricia! I yell again, pushing through the rapidly rising mud. The last thing I deserve is to die by her side. To die by my ship. To sink and drown in the ship that I crashed. But fate and justice abandoned me the second I landed on this godforsaken planet. In an instant, moving becomes too hard. But I'm not just stuck. Something latched onto my leg. I try to push through, but it's hopeless. So I finally look down, and my brain barely comprehends what I see. No, this can't be happening. Let me go. Is this a vine? It looks like some sort of climbing planet rising from the mud and wrapping around my leg. Oh, what the fuck? No! I grunt with effort, but when I try to pull my leg away, I only end up falling on the mud. And I immediately start to feel sick. No, fuck this. This is too much. Let me go. Patricia? Anyone? Fuck! Now what? When I manage to pull myself up to my feet again, I scream at the sight of my hands. Ah! When I touch the mud, about a dozen insects took the opportunity to climb on top of me. Holy shit, they're like giant beetles so big that, I could feel the weight dragging me down. Get away from me! I shake my arms wildly, lose my balance again, and when I fall, I realize with a terrible shock that I can no longer feel my legs. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is the end for me, isn't it? The bugs don't wait for my death to start biting. They tear through my suit. They sneak in. And they burrow themselves in my skin. The pain makes a scream explode out of me. And even that small release is taken from me. The vines snap out of the mud again and wrap around my head, covering my mouth and making me gag. I shake and struggle to breathe. I don't know what is crushing my lungs, if the pressure of the mud, the vines, or the bugs eating me alive. I can't scream. I can't move. The mud is up to my chest now. Even though I can't move my limbs, I still feel the hungry bugs taking out one bite at a time, with the vines tightly wrapped around my head and my neck. I can't breathe anymore. I barely feel my tears slide down my cheeks as the mud reaches my chin. All I can do is stare at my spaceship, shattered and crumbled, and sinking down even faster than I am. It was all a disaster. I didn't even leave the tests behind.
I remember the day I died. To my family, my friends, and myself. I saw a tombstone in a graveyard with my name engraved on it. I died 6 years ago when I embarked on my first and my last space mission. The journalist looked perplexed. I could see the confusion on his face. He didn't understand what I was talking about. Perhaps he may never understand. Of course, I wasn't dead. I was right in front of him, but he didn't understand. To him, I was crazy. They all didn't believe me when I told them what had happened to me and the rest of my crew. They probably just wanted some information for their newspapers and magazines. He saw me as the crazy guy who survived the Hugo space mission. They wanted to know what had happened to the rest of my team and how I made it back to Earth. I had told them the truth several times, but they still don't believe me. It's been 6 years, and the world doesn't even remember anymore. Our sacrifices and memories have been lost in the dark cosmos. It was meant to be a 1-year mission, but I spent 3 years in a strange world. It didn't feel like 3 years, but when I returned to Earth, the calendars said so. I don't even know how I survived. It feels like a dream. My son thinks I abandoned him. Besides, I can't offer him anything anymore. Not with the way I am right now. Kevin is in college now, and he moved on with life. But I suddenly returned, and he does not want to be reminded of his past. It must have been difficult for him. 6 years, alone. I finally returned, and here I am, in a mental clinic. I should never have gone for the space mission. He had lost his mother shortly before I embarked on the mission, and he searched for someone to hold on to in a world spinning out of control. All I could feel was regret and pain. I was lost in thought when the door flung open. A familiar voice echoed throughout the room. "Leave us!" It was Kevin. The journalist stood up abruptly and rushed out of the room. He had not visited me for months. I wondered why he had decided to come. Kevin strolled towards me and crouched right beside me. "I want to know everything." Those were the words that escaped his lips. He stared right into my eyes. He seemed disturbed about something. "I want to know what happened." Kevin was anxious. I drew closer to him and wrapped my arms around him as hot tears flowed down his cheeks. I searched my thoughts for the right words, but I couldn't find any. He was hurting. The doctor said I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, and I have been in a mental clinic since I returned from space 3 years ago. The nightmares have plagued my nights and hallucinations during the day, but when I stared at Kevin cry right in front of me, I was broken once again. "I'm not sure if you would believe me, Kevin. I had told several people about my experience in space, but they seldom believed me. Most of them laughed and mocked me. They all called me names and said I was crazy. I don't care," he sobbed softly. "I just want to know," he continued. I breathed hard and prepared myself once again to narrate my ordeal. These memories have haunted me for years, leaving large scars open and reminding me of what had happened. I stood up and strolled towards the corner in my room as Kevin watched in confusion. I had hidden it from everyone's eyes until now. It looked unearthly, and it was the only piece of memory I had brought back with me. I returned to my seat, holding the piece of alien technology tightly in my hands. I hoped and prayed that Kevin was going to believe me. I wanted to tell him everything. It was on New Year's Eve, I began, and shifted my gaze to Kevin. He listened anxiously. I had not asked him why he had changed his mind, but I didn't care. I continued anyway. I wanted to tell him everything. I wanted him to know what had happened. Perhaps this was the only way I could finally leave again. I received a call that I had been selected for the Hugo space mission. I could remember how ecstatic I was. Hundreds had battled for a spot on the spaceship, and I had been chosen as part of the 5-man team. Every astronaut yearned for that position. I felt proud, son. As I spoke further, it seemed like I was reliving the memory. I could remember every single detail clearly. For the first time in a long time, I let everything go and continued to reminisce on the adventure. I decided to be a little bit dramatic. I'd not felt such peace in a while, and I drifted into oblivion. My lips narrated my tale, but I felt as though it was happening all over again. Patches of snow decorated the balcony as I stared at the starry skies throughout the night. Sleep had evaded my eyes, and I waited for dawn. My heart raced faster than normal. It was my first space mission, Kevin. I was the only newbie on the team. Everyone else on the team had embarked on at least one previous space mission, so they knew the drill. I was anxious to stare at the Earth from above and bask in childlike wonder. Our mission was simple. A few astronauts had successfully flown to Mars and built a station there a few months ago. It was a huge breakthrough in the world of science. Our mission was to check up on them, restock some items, deliver a few new pieces of equipment, and return to Earth. The night seemed endless. I could remember pacing across the open field in front of the Space Control Center as I thought about the adventures that awaited me in space. I had received several congratulatory messages from my colleagues throughout the entire day, and I was eager to jump into my spacesuit and launch into the vast and mysterious cosmos. My childhood dream was finally coming to life. I had left Kevin with my mother, which I had learned kicked the bucket a few months after I left. The morning had brought with it a new ray of hope and excitement as we marched towards the Hugo spaceship, the first of its kind. I could remember my heart racing as we prepared for liftoff. I chuckled. Kevin forced a smile too. I realized that I was still narrating the tale to him. I did a quick double take at him, drifting back into my world of memories. I wasn't exactly sure how I was narrating it, but the thoughts in my head felt real enough. I knew I was doing a good job, and Kevin seemed to listen attentively too. We had spent almost a month in space, and I had slowly gotten used to the routine activities. We were like a family. We all shared what we could and threw nasty jokes at each other whenever we could. Besides, there wasn't really much we had to do anyway. Everyone had settled in and our gazes were fixed on Mars, and we all waited expectantly. I wanted to see the red planet for myself. I'd heard a lot about Mars, and I finally had the opportunity to walk on it, but to this day, I've never glimpsed Mars. A small part of my lengthy list of regrets. We never got to our destination. If I had known that was the last time I was going to see most of my team, I would have made them laugh even harder. I'll never forget the moment until the day I leave this world. It all happened so fast and I cannot fully recap everything. I was awoken by a loud bang. Something had just collided with our spaceship, sending everyone into an instant pandemonium. I can still remember the look of surprise on Carter's face. He was dumbfounded. He had earlier thought it was an asteroid, but it didn't make any sense. A large rock-like object seemed to move at matching velocity with our spaceship. In all his years of space travel, he had never seen anything like that before. Carter was our pilot and the most experienced member of the crew, but even he was confused. Our confusion grew when gun-like objects emerged from different sides of the strange stone-like spacecraft, which continued to pursue us persistently. We never expected such challenges in our space travel, and so we weren't all prepared for combat. Besides, we didn't even know what the hell was going on, or who we were even fighting against. Carter had wasted no time in guiding Hugo as we pierced through the vast space, attempting to evade the incoming threat, but they seemed relentless. The story seemed to have taken another turn. I stared at my son. He surprisingly looked engrossed in my narration. He was staring right back at me. What changed? I asked myself. I had tried to explain to him on his last visit, but he had turned a deaf ear to everything I seemed to be saying. I was glad he had changed his mind. What were they? What did you guys do? Kevin began to plague me with several questions. I was glad. This showed that he was actually listening. We couldn't do anything, I continued. A few other similar structures appeared from the dark space and we had no way of defending ourselves against them. They soon began to shoot at us. It looked like some sort of laser, but every shot that hit our ship melted it like a chemical. We all watched in dread as our spaceship was slowly destroyed by the strange invaders. But that was not what really creeped the hell out of us. It was the uncertainty of what was happening. We were just astronauts on a journey to Mars to deliver special equipment and return home to our families. We never expected or signed up for an all-out war against anything at all. It seemed like a bad dream and I wanted to wake up. We had put on our spacesuits and braced ourselves for the worst. I can remember asking myself weird questions, if this was a spaceship of some sort, because it looked very unearthly. I began to wonder if perhaps we were alone in the universe. Our spaceship finally came to a halt and they stopped shooting and slowly approached us when they noticed that we weren't fighting back. Our ship now hovered in space and we stood in front of an open hole in our spaceship which had been carved out from their persistent shooting, watching them approach from afar. If I had known that Carter had some stupid plan down his sleeve, I would have probably killed him myself. Out of nowhere, Carter emerged with a strange weapon and fired it towards the incoming rock-like structure which we had all concluded was some sort of spaceship, destroying it. A mix of shock and fear had crowded my face. We were surrounded and we didn't even know how many more were out there. We soon got to know how many more were out there anyway. Carter surprised us all. I could remember wondering what Carter was doing and where he had gotten such a complex weapon. Just one shot had taken out one of their ships. A thought immediately crossed my mind though. I was so enthusiastic about my space travel that I had failed to find out what equipment we were delivering to the astronauts on Mars. Whatever was in those spaceships did not come for us. No. They came for whatever we were transporting, and the only person who seemed to know what was in those crates was Carter. Until this day, I never found out and I never got a chance to ask him. He kept on taking out most of their ships with this special weapon. One of the other crew members, Ian, had asked him if there were more, but he had remained quiet. He was definitely hiding something. A secret so huge that it had attracted trouble. Whatever was hidden in those crates was important enough to attract such massive forces against us. The aliens suddenly resumed their shooting. I threw myself to the floor and lunged for any safe spot I could find. Carter had become their main target, and even though he tried to evade their wrath, he was too slow. I watched him melt like a candle right before my eyes. It was so sudden that I didn't have enough time to process what was going on. Explosions began to erupt all around our precious spacecraft. I sought refuge somewhere safe, but I found none. Tears hugged my cheeks as I trembled in fear. I thought about you, Kevin. I shifted my gaze once again to Kevin. He still seemed captivated by my tale. I swallowed hard and returned to my storytelling. The shocking turn of events had left me confused, and all I could do was crouch patiently somewhere on our already wrecked spacecraft. I could hear the distant screams of the rest of the crew. I sobbed softly under my space helmet as I stared at whatever was left of Carter. One of their spaceships soon arrived right in front of me as the rock-like structure opened from its side, revealing a strange life form that continues to haunt my thoughts until this very day. "What did you see?" Kevin asked. I forgot that I was narrating my experience to my son. I kept on drifting into thoughts as my lips danced to the rhythm of my mind. I heaved a heavy sigh. I couldn't describe what my eyes were staring at until a few days later. I can remember letting out a dying scream and immediately losing consciousness. I'd already seen enough to take in for an entire lifetime, and I had finally gotten to the height of it. I was probably out for a few hours. Time works differently over there. It's much slower compared to Earth, and we were definitely not on Mars. I can't seem to calculate how much time I had spent over there, as time is not calculated by the apparent sunrise and sunset. Somehow, we survived on a strange planet. The planet has so many similarities with Earth, and I believe that's why we were able to survive. We could breathe and live. I opened my eyes to the realization that I was still alive. I didn't understand why they had let me live, or us. Morgan was there with me. He was terribly injured, although he would survive and go on to become my best friend. He had helped me escape at the cost of his life. As my thoughts trailed back to Morgan, I couldn't control hot tears from flowing down my cheeks. It's been 3 years, but it still hurts. He was the one who discovered their secret portal, studied their communication patterns, and also stole their spaceship. We were, however, caught quite early and they gave chase. Morgan had decided to stay back and destroy their portal shortly after I went through to ensure that they didn't get to me. I feel like I owe him a favor, and I know that this story is not over yet. There's something big happening on Mars that they're hiding from us. I learned that another group of astronauts launched to Mars a few months ago. They're building something, Kevin. Whatever we were transporting was not Earth technology. It was something more advanced. There's the reason the Zodiacs attacked. Zodiacs? Kevin interrupted. Well, that's what Morgan always called them. He once explained to me, but I was always a poor listener. Something about their origin starting from a different star and some advanced cosmology stuff. I forced a smile. Kevin smiled too. I wish this moment never ended. It had been a long time since I had spoken to my son in this manner. The moment was priceless. What happened next? Kevin was eager to discover what had happened. I stared out my window. It was already getting late, and I immediately shifted my gaze back to Kevin. He knew what I was planning on saying next. He shook his head. He was ready to listen to the end, and so I continued. We were in some sort of deep tunnel. Morgan had explained to me how we got there. They had all flown into a massive portal and emerged on another side of space. He wasn't sure if we were still in our solar system or even in the same galaxy. A few days ago, most of what we knew about space ended up in our Milky Way, but this was beyond any science textbooks on Earth. Aliens? Habitable planets? Earth was still years from this discovery. They had been attempting to make Mars habitable for decades, but there I was, standing on a strange planet filled with life. We remained in the tunnel for what seemed like an endless experience. No food, water, or even shelter. A warm mist seemed to escape from the dark gray soil at regular intervals, and the entire skies were always dark, just like evenings on Earth, although it was still possible to see clearly. We had no idea about how their seasons were, and the only thought on my mind throughout my stay on the planet was getting back home. Morgan managed to somehow trap the mist and convert it into water. I would never have made it out without him. I had once asked him if he had any idea of what we were transporting, but he seemed to be as oblivious as I was. Our next mission was finding a way out of the tunnel. We didn't know why we were left in the tunnel, but we didn't care too much about it. We just wanted a way out. "What did the aliens look like?" Kevin asked again. I knew he was going to ask me that question eventually, and I thought for the perfect description. My countenance had begun to change. I knew it was no coincidence. There was a huge missing piece in a grander puzzle that our world was oblivious to, and it haunted my very dreams. "They look just like us, Kevin." Kevin couldn't hide his surprise. "What? Like us? What do you mean?" I could see distrust cloud his face, and he began to search my eyes for a lie. He found none. "Yes, they appear just like us, Kevin, but devolved. They have arms and legs just like we do, but their faces look dead and deformed. They have a dark green appearance, and a few of them use both their arms and legs for motion. There was something wrong with the way they looked. They looked like some sort of God-forsaken mistake. It also took me a while to believe what I had seen, but I had to accept it. They looked like human deviants, as though their genes had been greatly corrupted, like test subjects used in perfecting the human species, but they are a much faster and intelligent species than us. They seemed to be eons ahead of us in technology." The look on Kevin's face showed that he wasn't still convinced. "Kevin, you have to trust me," I added. "I'm telling the truth. I have a feeling Cosmos knew about these species before sending us out into space. Whatever equipment Carter used to fight back against the aliens was definitely built for something much more than basic earthly wars." "What happened next?" Kevin wanted me to continue. "One of the creatures soon came crawling into our hole, and only when it came close did I realize that Morgan had been carving out a crude weapon from the hard rock on the floor. He rushed towards the creature in a flash and stabbed it right on his chest. The creature gave a loud screech before dropping stone cold on the ground. They could die just as we did. I was caught by surprise. Of course, Morgan was once in the military before joining Cosmos back on Earth, but that was the first time I had seen him in action. He probably wanted to know how to kill the creatures, and he had succeeded. Cosmos is the privately owned space company that had sent us on a mission to Mars to deliver the equipment. They never told us what was contained inside, and no one seemed to ask. They had sent a previous team who had successfully established a temporary camp on Mars. They were obviously building something bigger than we could imagine. He had a few untreated wounds, but he still managed to take down one of the creatures with perfect dexterity. He was always cheerful and looked as though he could hardly hurt a fly, and I was there, sulking about my situation. But Morgan had already began to map his way out of the tunnel. I wondered what other crazy ideas he had hidden under his sleeve. I would soon get to find out anyway. It wasn't long before he found a way to get us both out of the tunnel, and the shocking sight that greeted my eyes left me bewildered. My jaws had dropped when I saw their level of advancement. They lived in flying castles and transported with portals. This was beyond anything I had seen on Earth. Their looks didn't speak much about their sense of development. They looked like devolved species, not an evolved species, and I was baffled at how they had managed to carve out such a massive and impressive empire. We had just barely celebrated our newly found freedom when several spaceships surrounded us. I couldn't believe what had happened. Perhaps the screams of the creature which Morgan had killed alerted them. Morgan knew what was coming. He told me to prepare myself, but even though we were surrounded by the Zodiacs once again, I could still sense hope and a plan masked beneath the seriousness of his voice. That was the beginning of my end. We were both carted away into their central city. I wasn't sure why they kept us alive or what they were planning to do to us, but I knew that Morgan was planning something. A troubling thought strolled across my mind when I was being carted away, but I shoved it off. I had been awaiting for a few hours, and darkness had already blanketed the skies. The clinic guard stood at the door. He was ready to escort me back into my room. Kevin strolled towards him and whispered a few words into his ears. and he disappeared into the dark corridor. "How did you guys make it out?" Kevin asked. According to Morgan, the Zodiacs wanted something from us, but it wasn't in the Hugo spaceship. They had missed it. It was on the first ships to Mars, but they didn't know that. They wanted to know where it was. That's why they kept us in the pit to buy themselves some time. Buy themselves some time? For what? Kevin was now asking a lot of questions. According to Morgan, the Zodiacs are a very inquisitive race and they did not believe in impossibilities. They needed time to enable their technology to sync our language. They wanted to communicate with us. We had gotten out of the pit and killed one of theirs, which angered them even further. What seemed like days soon became weeks, and an endless cycle of torture. I revealed the markings on my body to Kevin. He seemed terrified. "How did they torture you?" I could feel the emotion in Kevin's voice. "They injected something inside of us and had to dig deep and wide into our flesh sometimes. It felt like 1,000 fires burning inside of me. That was the most agonizing form of torture anyone could face. I wanted death so much, Kevin." "What do they want on Mars?" Kevin interrupted again. "I'm not sure," I replied. "One thing I know is that whatever they had come for is important enough to have gained their total focus. I had sworn to discover what Cosmos was planning if I survived and returned to Earth, but I was broken when I returned. I was shocked by how fast time had moved on Earth. I know we had spent quite some time on their planet, but it didn't seem like 3 years." I turned to Kevin as tears strolled down my cheeks once again. "Look at me, Kevin. I'm like a shadow of myself. Even if I discover what they are hiding on Mars, what would I be able to do about it? Everyone thinks I'm crazy." I had promised to honor Morgan's memory, but I had failed. I'm a coward. Kevin understood what I was going through, but he kept on asking a series of questions. Did the Zodiac eventually sync with our language? Kevin had been throwing several questions at me for the past hour, and he didn't seem ready to stop anytime soon. Yes, they asked for the location of some strange device, but neither of us knew what they were talking about. They thought we did. We were tortured. I had never felt anything like it. The pain seemed endless. I prayed for death, but death had taken another turn. Morgan was also being tortured. I could hear his screams echo throughout their halls. Somehow, whatever substance they injected us seemed to preserve us. We didn't need food or water. To this day, I don't know what they injected into us, but it felt like hell. I had almost given up all hope when Morgan suddenly showed up. I didn't know how he had escaped, but I didn't care either. I just wanted to be free from the intense agony, and I was glad that he was free. Morgan had already mapped out a perfect plan. I opened my hands, revealing the strange, unearthly object to Kevin. Morgan gave me this. I still don't know what I meant to do with it, but I've treasured it ever since. It's the last memory I have of Morgan. What happened to him? I was finally approaching the end of the tale, and I was glad Kevin still believed in my every word. He was the first person who didn't think I was a lunatic after narrating my experience. Morgan had discovered a lot about the Zodiacs in a short time. I'm still baffled at how he had managed to do that. We were both captured and tortured for days and months. I couldn't keep track of time, but when he showed up, he knew exactly what to do. He set me free, stole their rock-like spaceships, and even succeeded in activating the same portal that connected their world to ours, the same way we had entered their planet. They soon detected Morgan's bravado and gave chase. Morgan decided to turn back and destroy the portal. I would never have made it back without what he did. I was still speaking when a familiar figure emerged from the dark corridor behind Kevin. As my eyes shot wide open, I stood abruptly to my feet in shock. Morgan? I stammered. I always had a feeling that he was going to survive. You're alive! Morgan, you're alive! A mix of emotions clouded my thoughts. Joy, disappointment, fear, and confidence. I rushed towards him and gave him a warm embrace. I shifted my gaze towards Kevin in confusion. He knew the question that plagued my heart. He came to me a few days ago. I believe you, Dad. I'm sorry for doubting you the first time. I stared at Morgan once again. He knew I had a lot of questions. I know you have a lot of questions, Neo, but we have a lot of work. He stretched out his hand, motioning for the strange object which he had given me earlier before I escaped from the planet. I handed it over to him. It has been 3 years, but at the moment, it felt like 3 days. Come on, we need to get you out of here. His words brought a familiar hope again. I had gotten my son and my friend back in one night. What more could I ask for? Kevin guided me slowly as we strolled out of the clinic. I didn't know what Morgan was planning on doing, but I was willing to find out, for time always tells the best of tales.
When I look at the immensity of space from my cabin, I find it hard to believe that the human species had to wait 2,310 years so that poor devils like me could enjoy the experience of travelling through the galaxies. Sometimes I wonder how miserable was the life of those poor monkeys that stayed on Earth until the day of their deaths, without knowing that in the future more evolved versions of the human being than them would colonise space. Those are the kind of thoughts that come to my mind when I wake up after a good night of looting. Maybe there is a romantic aspect to me that makes me dream of those times when cars were considered a means of transportation worthy of being collectible. There is something simply charming in thinking about those beings who dug up graves in the hope of trying to justify their existence through the remains of civilizations that were nothing more than animals. I think if I'd lived in those years, my job wouldn't be much different than it is now. Museums would pay me to steal useless stones in the same way the council pays me to take over the resources of other planets. There's always a group of bleeding hearts that are against these practices, but civilizations only survive by crushing others, and if someone has to do the job, why can't that someone be me? Being a mercenary is not for the faint of heart. You have to be willing to do things that are considered inhumane for the welfare of the human race. And you will be judged for that. But everything bad is compensated by something good. And in my case, that is the flexible hours, the good pay, and my lack of supervision. As long as I meet my quotas, the council won't care if I keep a treasure or two. Another benefit that comes with the job is a crew of people as miserable and soulless as me. Sleeping on a ship with a bunch of strangers is a good exercise to keep the adrenaline pumping. Thing is, over time your crewmates become like your brothers. After 4 years of constant travel, I trust them more than I trust my own mother. And then there's Mike. The man has always been a lunatic, the life of the party in the crew, but for 9 months now he's looked like a different person since we arrived at the mine. Mine is a rather elegant name for the hole we opened in the ground of that unexplored planet. The council believed that in no man's land was a new and valuable element and sent us to steal it. Such is the life of a mercenary. In a matter of days I gathered my crew and together we embarked on a new adventure. In my old ship we travelled through a wormhole and crossed space. It only took a couple of hours to leave our galaxy behind. The planet where we landed was arid and deserted. Everywhere we looked there was nothing but a yellow sky and a rocky surface that crunched with each of our steps. To our misfortune, this planet never seemed to have harboured life, and our favourite part of the conquest had always been the fight. The planet was huge, almost twice as big as the planet where my colony was established, so it took us several trips to stock up on supplies before we found the element we were looking for. It was bright and colourful like bismuth. It looked like a liquid that clumped and unclumped in the air, forming figures without silhouette. This liquid escaped from a deep crack in the ground as if it were a helium balloon. When we managed to capture some of it in the anti-corrosive containers that we were carrying, these became absurdly heavy, and it was impossible for us to transport them without machinery. Once we got hold of all the remains that had seeped to the surface, we started with the excavation. Dale, our miner, was an experienced man, so stubborn that he would be able to reach the centre of the earth if he was allowed to. He immediately got down to work and he directed the robots to start the drilling, while the rest of us took refuge in the ship to pass the time. I'd fallen behind, trying to remove a rock that had gotten stuck in the sole of my suit, when Mike approached me.
Guess what I brought with me, bro?
He said, as he showed me a small glass vial, no bigger than a thumb, which was tied to a chain. Inside it floated a small drop that glowed in different colours.
Oh, Kate will love me when I give it to her.
I doubt it, friend, I replied. Kate was one of Mike's bastard daughters, and the man had been trying to win her affection ever since he fell in love with her mother again.
Oh, don't ruin my day, man. At least lie to me.
I shrugged and didn't answer. I really didn't care about his family problems. So the days passed without much importance as we subtracted the element from the crack. As this became so heavy inside our tanks, it was necessary to make many trips to the colony. It's not as if I cared. We were paid for working hours, and if necessary, I could spend the rest of my life doing this job. Mike, on the other hand, didn't seem to take to it very well. I think it was our third month in exploration when I approached him at lunchtime for a conversation.
I thought we were going to give it to your daughter, I said, with my mouth full of our chef's disgusting mush as I pointed to the chain with the vial he wore as a necklace. I changed my mind, he replied sharply, his face looking serious, as if he was ready to fight me.
Whatever you say, mate, I said, without giving it any more thought.
Yeah, and in the future, I thank you for not meddling in my affairs,
he continued as he threw what was left of his food on the floor. At that moment, I did nothing but watch as he walked away from me and out back into the mine. An uncomfortable feeling had begun to grow in my head. Mike and I were not what you would call friends, but we'd always gotten along well, and this sudden change of attitude was very suspicious. I began to watch him carefully, paying more attention to him than necessary. Mike seemed erratic and irate, fighting with anyone for no reason. He always looked alert, and when he thought no one was listening, he began to mutter about how he's been persecuted. On our next visit to the colony, I contacted several people to find out if there was something in the man's personal life that was making him act different, and no one had any idea. Finding out what was going on with him became my obsession. There was something deeply disturbing about his new behaviour, as if he were another person. The accusations on his part were not long in coming. Mike called us thieves and traitors. The idea that we were conspiring to assassinate him began to drive him mad. By the 9th month of our expedition, he had convinced himself that we were aliens who had replaced our original versions, and there was no way to prove him otherwise. I thought the same thing about him. Mike had gone from being the nicest guy in space to a paranoid nutcase. All after getting to that stupid mine. For over 4 years we were comrades, and he'd never behaved that way. Now the role of a captain is to make the best decisions for his crew. Mike's behaviour was starting to rub off on Dale, and I'm worried that he's starting to act crazy too. If that's the case, it won't be long before Mike affects the rest of our crewmates. It was a matter of life and death. Some sort of alien infection was consuming his brain, and it was my responsibility to put him out of his misery. A big and heavy man like Mike makes a loud noise when he hits the ground. When I returned to move the chain from his neck, his body was cold and rigid. I moved the vial, and the drop of the element that he brought us there shone in different colours inside it. I couldn't understand how he had thought of giving it to that brat. Who wanted to part with something so beautiful? I can't imagine being able to take it away from my chest. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to stop the infection in time. Dale is starting to act strange. He watches me all the time, and it seems like he's conspiring against me. We haven't stopped arguing. He makes me so angry, I'm starting to mutter insults against him when he turns his back on me. It's as if he wants to steal my chain, or kill me. I think. No. I'm totally convinced that he has also been replaced.
It had been 1 month since the world took my life away from me, but it felt like a day with each passing minute. Mom and Dad were probably rolling in their graves laughing at me. After all, they told me not to marry him. Why did they have to leave me on this piece of shit planet filled with ungrateful cunts? Why did he have to play the role of the hero always? Why did you have to die first? Now I was left to suffer the consequences. People who never cared about him running around masquerading their hatred with a smile as if they didn't want him dead. Now I'm stuck with their pity. I don't need their pity. I stared at my phone as it rang. It was Annie. Another caller trying to shower their pity on me. I didn't want to pick up the call, but we hadn't spoken in years. Oh, one call couldn't possibly hurt, right?
Hey, Zoe, I just heard about Saul's passing. I'm so sorry, sweetie. How are you holding up?
No shit. Just when I thought this one would be different. She sounded like I was a homeless kid pleading for $1. What the hell was I supposed to say? Annie, thank you. I really appreciate it. I replied in a weary tone.
Oh, it hurts, I know. Losing a husband can be depressing. You have to suffer the trauma, and I am not saying I understand, but I'm here for you whenever you need me.
Someone hand me a gun? Let me save myself from this torment. Thank you, Annie. Annie was a close friend of mine, even though we had our fights. I still saved a spot for her in my heart, always.
You know what? What if I came to see you?
Hell no. Not even on my deathbed. I know people say I nag a lot, but all Annie talks about when we're together is how perfect her husband and kids are. I think I've heard enough of that to last me a lifetime. I think I'll pass on that. Sorry. Gotta be reporting back to duty tomorrow, but yeah, we should definitely catch up when I'm back. Yeah, she heard me. Anyway, I really did have to be back at the ISS the following day.
Okay, Zoe. Take care now, and remember, even though Saul is gone, he lives on in our hearts.
Oh, sweet Christ, Saul Fitzsimmons. You just had to leave me with this daily load of bullshit, didn't you? The call ended as my eyes met the clock in my bedroom. Are you kidding me? It's already 11 p.m.? People say time flies when you're having fun. But there was nothing fun about that day. And the following day looked bleak, too. Bear level hungry, I stood up and walked into the kitchen. I still couldn't believe I would be returning to that piece of shit station. I mean, I loved my job, but couldn't stand the people there. The hassle to prepare a meal proved excessive, and so I retired to the comfort of my bed, drearily in need of rest before the next day. The shrill of my alarm clock was nerve-wracking. I jolted to life. It was 5 a.m. Oh, shut up! I slammed the power button off. I flung my right arm to the other side of the bed, hoping I could feel the presence of Saul there. But there was nothing. Not that I wouldn't freak out if I had felt someone there, but that's not the focus right now. Pushing myself off the bed, I dizzily walked into the bathroom to do a few morning routines. 11 months. 11 months and I could still smell his aftershade pervading the air around me. Standing in front of a 6-foot mirror in my uniform 20 minutes later, I couldn't help but say to myself, okay, time to act like a strong woman who still has her shit together and didn't lose her husband to aliens because her leaders wanted to take over a fucking world. As if that wasn't enough, they still wanted to colonize another planet in the Tau Ceti region. The same fucking region. My phone buzzed. It was my chauffeur. Morning, Ramirez. I know you're outside. I think NASA can wait a few more minutes. Wouldn't you agree?
Roger that, ma'am.
I could hear the badly suppressed chuckle from his end as I hung up. Picking up my bags, I locked my door behind me as Ramirez rushed out of the car to carry my luggage. It wasn't a long drive to NASA. I always hated the fact that Saul had to buy a house just around where we worked. You don't eat where you shit, Saul, I muttered to myself. Oh God, as we drove past security, I could see it in their eyes. Pity. I tried my best to avoid everyone I knew as I sneaked into the astronaut crew quarters. At least the pity was less there. Zoe! A euphonic voice called out. It was Frank Murphy. He looked excited to see me. I could have sworn that smile was because Saul was dead. Give me a hug, would ya? He wouldn't wait for an answer. He didn't wait for anything. He just hugged me. God, the balls on this guy. Hey, I'm so sorry about Saul. It always has to be the good ones, you know? He sighed. He was the best of us, Zoe. The best. I felt like rolling my eyes to what he just said, but I pulled myself together. Thank you, Frank. But hey, you're a commander now. The ISS couldn't be better led. His face cringed in a nasty frown. Which could only mean one thing. No, Zoe, I'm not the new commander. Those cunts up the ladder gave it to someone else. Can you believe that? Oh, Frank, I'm so sorry to hear that. I gotta go now. Launch is due in 20 minutes. He just stood there, lost in his own thoughts as I turned and headed for the crew quarters. A large space fitted with 3 suit containment rooms, one for Orion, Boeing, and SpaceX. The crew quarters also included a hallway which led to a kitchen, pantry, dining room, lounge, 2 conference rooms, a gym, 2 laundry rooms, and a flight of surgeons' offices. All state-of-the-art. Hey, you must be Zoe Fitzsimmons. I'm Yoshida Hikaru, from Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. Damn! Nobody told me East Asian men looked like this. Attractive. I always thought they all wore glasses and stayed in their mother's basement. Hikaru was definitely an exception. But I couldn't tell him that. I had to sound professional. You must be the new commander. I'm honored, sir. I stretched out my hand for a firm handshake. And you must be the wife of our fallen hero. May he find peace in the afterlife. There it was again. Pity. Yeah, we should get ready. I tried drifting the conversation to a different direction. The press had gathered to record our takeoff as if we were going to the moon for the first time. My spacesuit felt itchy as Hikaru and I walked towards the administrator. Why do I always get the itchy suits, for God's sakes? As we drew closer to Mr. Xavier, the administrator of NASA, the cameras raided us with photos. It's painful having to act like I was okay with that crap. The smiling, waving, it was all exhausting. Then there was the one thing lurking behind the flashing lights. Pity. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our astronauts, the administrator said as the crowd went wild. We waved at them while making our way into the Discovery space shuttle. This was Hikaru's first flight to the ISS, aside from the simulation he used to prepare for it. Prepare for takeoff in 5. I didn't know whether it was right, but I held Hikaru's hands. My heart throbbed heavily in my chest. Why the hell did I do that? He looked at me and squeezed my hand softly, yet in a reaffirming manner. I was so much in my thoughts I didn't notice the shuttle had taken off. Finally, the part of my job I loved. We had just passed the stratosphere when the rocket boosters fell off. Their job was done. The main engine picked up immediately when the capsule exited the planet. 408 kilometers later, and there it was, the ISS. I radioed the station. STS-1, are you ready for us? Affirmative, ma'am. You're cleared for landing, a woman replied. The docking ring extended from our shuttle and connected to the ISS. We waited a few seconds while ISS port confirmed our entry. The door connecting to the station opened. Ah, finally, I exclaimed. 3 officials welcomed us. The place seemed busy as if they weren't expecting us. I had to admit that I missed that piece of shit station. The awkward but nice smell that lingered in the air. I headed straight to my quarters. I needed some rest. As I sat on my bed, I wished it were a little bit soft like the ones back home. I took off the suit and started for the bathroom to wash the stress I felt from the exhausting trip. Afterwards, I got out of my room and walked through the alley leading to the control room, kitchen, and the laboratory. I didn't want to run into any crowds at the moment, so I entered the kitchen. Madam Zoe, Beth said as she rushed to give me a hug. Beth, I didn't know you were here. How has it been here? She didn't look so optimistic after my inquiry to her well-being. Well, since we lost Monsieur Saul and you left for your rest, things changed fast. What do you mean by changes? We all know something went wrong at Tau Ceti. Beth was about to add something when George and Xerxes barged into the cafeteria. There she is. You didn't even think of looking for your boys? George said, drawing near to us. George and Xerxes were friends to Saul. They were part of the team Saul took to Tau Ceti for Project COL-8. George and Xerxes were the only survivors. What a joke. I always had the feeling that they weren't telling the whole truth of what really happened in the Tau Ceti region. Guys, come on. You know how tiring the journey here can be. I was so exhausted I had to rest a little before coming out. Well, we missed you. And we have a surprise for you, Xerxes said, grinning. Not interested. Come on, you'll love it. I'll pass. I'm still pretty exhausted anyway. Jerks. A few minutes later, I was sitting on my bed, drowning in my thoughts. That the knock on my door startled me. Come in. Girl, you need some real ass whooping thinking you could come up in this shitty place without telling your best girl. Kesha, come here, silly, I said, walking towards her for an embrace. Kesha was the closest to family I had in the ISS. We had been friends since the first time she mistook Saul to be my brother. Girl, I have missed you. Don't tell me you forgot to bring me the Uncle Joe's special grilled cheese sandwich, she said. Oh, shit, no, I'm so sorry. Nah, I'll just take it out of your paycheck. Are you trying to rob me? Call it paying your dues. She laughed, then paused. Hey, how have you been holding up? Thanks, by the way. I'll survive. So, what's up? Suddenly her smile faded, and her voice turned down to a whisper. NASA has been sending Russians up here frequently. The laboratory is off limits, save for them and the commander. Our holidays have been canceled. They're working on Project COL8 again. Girl, all these things started a few months after Saul's death. I didn't need my sixth sense to tell me something was terribly wrong here. But we're glad you're back. At least some things will change. I hope so, I said, sighing heavily. I'll catch you later, girl. Kesha embraced me again, then left the room. I couldn't help but wonder why they went on to start Project COL8 again. Oh, they never gave a shit as long as it was our lives on the line and not theirs. Bastards, I muttered. But I wondered in my mind why they would be doing this shortly after Saul's death. Someone banged on my door. The new commander wants to meet with everyone in the control room. All right, I'll be right there. I needed to talk to Beth. She definitely knew something and was about to tell me before these assholes interrupted. I got out of my room and headed to the control room. We need you prepared, Hikaru said immediately when I entered. Prepared for what? Yes, it won't, Carl. Show her. Hikaru said as a Russian man in his mid-20s projected an image. It's only 11.9 light years from us. Tau Ceti is the closest sun-like star. Carl, we went over this the first mission. You don't have to do it again, I said, smiling. It was like a political rally there. Everyone was in groups. The Russians stood apart from the rest of the crew, as if we smelled like rat shit. We believe the first mission was a failure because of the amateurish plan ex-Commander Saul executed. But thanks to the JAXA and ESA, we have a better plan, Hikaru said. Amateurish plan? That's my husband you're talking about. Was. But I'm sorry, Zoe, I meant no offense. It's just that they could barely access the Tau Ceti orbit before they were attacked. But now, through the help of our Russian friends, we'll be able to access Tau Ceti E, Hikaru added as the Russian crowd applauded. What the hell is going on? I had to admit I was scared. So, you're just suggesting that we go back to that death trap? I'm not suggesting. It's a command, flight engineer, Hikaru said firmly. Type 1 is ready for use now, so the journey won't be a worry. Type 1 isn't ready for use, I said. Zoe, don't piss me off. I said it's ready. So do your duty before I rain brimstone on you, Hikaru said as he walked out. I knew Type 1 wasn't ready for use. It was Saul's machine. He believed it could fly as fast as dark speed. I always called him crazy for that. Well, this was going to be a suicide mission, and I didn't plan for my crew to be collateral damage. You heard the man. Everyone start prepping, I yelled, following Hikaru behind. Sir, please, I have a question.
Speak, Zoe. I'm all ears.
What if we don't make it back? I was scared, but I didn't want the crew to know. For goodness sake, that was where my husband got killed.
At least we die trying,
he said, walking away.
Prepare Type 1 for launch,
he said to one of the men beside him. Everything was happening so fast. Breathe, Zoe, breathe, I whispered. I pulled myself together and walked into Cairo 2, the room where all mission preparations were based. It was buzzing with people trying to kit themselves up for the trip. The last time I saw the room this busy was when Saul and the others left. After everyone prepared, we moved to the boarding area. Get in, I commanded. Type 1 was large enough to contain 100 people, but we weren't 100. I was scared we would still get outnumbered. As we prepared for launch, I sat close to Kesha as she squeezed my palm in terror. Setting course for Tau Ceti E. These were the last words I could remember hearing. It happened so fast. Faster than I could even breathe. We were already in the atmosphere of Tau Ceti E. Destination reached, Type 1 buzzed in. Whew, hyperspeed had a dizzying effect. I opened my eyes and all I could see was darkness. From afar, I could hear the sound of running waters, and according to Saul, life is tenacious. Wherever there's liquid water, there's possibility for it to arise. But something didn't sit right. Everyone drop and survey the environment, Hikaru ordered. As we got off Type 1, I felt vulnerable, as if I had taken off my spacesuit. Everyone turned on their flashlights as they surveyed the place. I see something! A man screamed, as everyone moved to see what he had seen.
Oh my god,
Hikaru said. The water there glowed blue, like a deep, dark blue. What we saw looked like a woman who had been cut into half and thrown into a small body of water.
Someone get her!
Hikaru shrieked as two men hastened to get the two halves of the body. On reaching the water bank, they studied their gait and approached with caution.
What do you see?
Hikaru asked forcefully. Sir, it's not a woman, it's a... Suddenly their lights went off. We couldn't see them again. We didn't even hear a sound. Not one.
What the hell?
Hikaru screamed.
There's something in the water! Shoot the water!
In a frenzy, everyone fired into the water. Then, I heard a loud scream from afar. It was so loud, everyone had to stop shooting to seek cover.
What the hell is that?
Hikaru shrieked. There was silence for what seemed to be an eternity. Then, footsteps? I thought. Something was running towards us. At the point, I couldn't even let my brain comprehend what was coming. Turn off your flashlights and activate X-ray vision, I screamed. But I spoke too late. The creature had attacked about half of the team in a matter of seconds. I hid myself behind what I supposed was a rock. "Dear God, help me," I whispered. The silence came again, as if the creature had vanished. Deafening. I turned on my X-ray vision and sneaked around searching for survivors. Dismembered bodies dotted the whole place, their faces disfigured beyond recognition. "Zoe," Beth said, struggling to breathe. No. Stay with me, Beth. Beth, please." She had been split in half. Like a vegetable. There was nothing I could do but stare at her flickering eyes, the life slowly ebbing out of her, dwindling to an end. My feet went cold. Even my breath began to scare me. I could hear the sound of others choking on their blood. From a distance, I could hear gunshots. This was my chance to move. I dashed off looking for a hiding spot. Finally, I stumbled upon Hikaru and 3 Russian men. "What is this creature?" I whispered, fear drenching my body.
It's called an Aquarius, and we're going to take it back with us,
Hikaru said. The reality of everything just happened to hit me at that very moment. "What the hell do you mean?"
What part didn't you hear, Zoe? Step back or you might get hurt.
All this while NASA was trying to get the Aquarius for themselves. But why? Why waste our lives?
That's the problem with you ladies. You think everyone owes you an explanation, but I don't. Launch the particle beam,
he commanded. I had never seen the type of weapon they pulled out that day. It had to be the weapon they had been so secretive about in the laboratory. The weapon beamed a bright light, attracting the Aquarius as it raged towards us.
Fire!
Hikaru said. As it fired, a bright light swept through the whole place.
Target down! Time to apprehend it!
They rushed to capture the creature. All I cared about was getting the hell out of there, and so I bolted away from them to find the rest of the team. I bumped into Kesha and Xerxes. Xerxes had been cut really deep. Kesha had tried making the bleeding stop, but he was losing blood so fast. And air. We should move him to Type 1 and treat him, I said. I don't think we'll be leaving this planet. The bright light that gleamed will definitely attract more of those creatures, Kesha exclaimed hopelessly. It wasn't long. Screams of other Aquariuses were heard. This time they sounded very aggressive. So far, I hadn't been able to see any of the creatures. They seemed to move in the dark, and the only sign that anyone saw them was a scream, followed by silence. Get up. Let's try getting to the ship, I commanded. Kesha had lost all hope as we snuck through the darkness with Xerxes. We finally made it to the ship. But no one was there. Hikaru and his team were probably killed by the same creature, given the screams I heard earlier. As we got in, we immediately set course to Earth and left. We arrived at the space station and rushed Xerxes in for treatment. NASA is going to pay for this, Kesha said as tears blurred her eyes. I knew Xerxes knew something about the whole operation that NASA had going on behind our backs. We just had to wait for him to get better. Our space cameras had everything recorded, and I was ready to leak everything to the press.
SDS, do copy. Report status of the mission.
The administrator radioed the station.
Flight engineer Zoe Fitzsimmons here.
I answered. He was silent at first. The bastard didn't expect me to be alive.
Report mission status?
He said again, more urgently this time.
I'm afraid not, sir. You assholes have been lying to us and putting our lives on the line. You shouldn't have messed with the planet. We shouldn't have... Zoe. What do you want?
He was buying time.
I'll be seeing you, sir.
And the line went dead. As I geared up to return to Earth, I entered the capsule, waiting for Xerxes, when suddenly the door shut closed behind me. The sight I turned to see made my heart cringe. It was Kesha. She muttered the words, "I'm sorry," with tears rolling down her eyes, and cut the oxygen supply. Then she hit the eject button, sending the capsule into the abyss of space. My heart rate started to slow down. Every nerve in my body pulsated to an end. The more I struggled for air, the more everything became blurry. In my dwindling moments, just before the last twinkle of life faded from my eyes, I pulled out my camera and hit a single button. Send. Then everything turned black into oblivion. It wasn't the revenge I had in mind, but it was worth it.
There's a sound nearby. At first, I think it's static or a malfunction in the communication device of my spacesuit, but it isn't. There's a shuffling sound, or like the hiss of a snake hiding in plain sight. It's the sound of danger boiling right before exploding in our faces. And then, something hits my back. I turn around hastily, jumping in place.
Gotcha.
But I'm only met with laughter from a friend. Hey, Gerard, calm down, man. It's okay. We made it here. We're safe. I stare into the calm blue eyes of Thomas, the captain of the ship that brought us here, a brand new exoplanet to claim for humanity. I nod in acknowledgement of his words and put on a brave smile on my face. The trip here was far from uneventful, and we had to dodge more obstacles than expected. But we finally made it. I'm probably just paranoid after being so tense during the entire trip. This planet is beautiful. It is smaller than Earth, very rocky with strange and sparse vegetation, but an abundance of clear water that came and went from big mountains, caves, and great lakes for as far as we can see. We're supposed to celebrate our success, not jump at the shadows lurking around us. I leave Thomas behind and approach the two other members of our crew. Natasha and Isabel were standing by the American flag we planted on the surface of the planet as soon as we landed. Natasha, the youngest member of the crew, was entertained studying the way the flag floated and quivered, suspended in the unfamiliar air of this planet. She was saying, "Look around you, Liz. This planet is the most worth exploring I've ever seen." That makes Isabel laugh. "It's the only planet besides Earth that you know," she reminds the other woman. "I say that we should take the free time to rest inside the ship before we have to start the journey back to Earth. Come on." Natasha throws her back, laughing wholeheartedly, while Isabel tries to drag her back to the ship, and I laugh along with them. It's a perfect scene. The dreamlike planet, my friends having fun, our ship like a second home waiting for us. And then, the scream. It's bone-chilling, a scream of the deepest terror possible to man. I'm frozen in place, still staring at the two women as they clutch each other tightly and scream horrified. But my entire body has turned to ice. I start shaking before I'm able to move. And then finally, I turn my head, already feeling like I might cry from how scared I am. The scene behind me is the complete opposite of the unbridled joy from just a minute ago. Thomas is still standing right where I left him, but he isn't alone anymore. There's a creature right behind him. A creature bigger than any human being, devoid of hair or scales. Just dark, gray, wrinkled skin like a giant rat? Like a demon of black, shiny eyes and open jaws that's holding the captain of our ship with a single limb, as if he was a rag doll. The captain is still screaming. The extraterrestrial notices the three of us watching and opens its jaws even more. For a second, I'm worried that thing is about to eat Thomas in front of our eyes, just to immediately lunge forward and take us down one by one. Instead, the terrifying beast screams too. I expect the roar of a bear, the shrill yell of a rat, and somehow got both. A high-pitched cry that makes me flinch and try to cover my ears if it weren't for the helmet of my suit, and underneath a deep booming groan that I feel rattling in my bones. Instinctively, I take tentative steps backward, doubled over in pain as I watch that beast scream at us. But my focus is on Thomas. Our captain isn't screaming anymore. I can tell he's gritting his teeth to bear the pain of the overwhelming noise coming from the spot right above his head. There are tears slipping down his cheeks, and I could be wrong, but I think I see his ears starting to bleed. I'm still watching them when the monster finally quiets down, and then, a second later, and still holding Thomas against its torso, that thing turns around and sprints away. It takes a big leap, and I can't help but run in the same direction, desperate to save my captain and friend. Then I feel two pairs of arms holding me back from certain death. The monster had jumped down a steep and rocky cliff, and it was currently hurrying on three of its limbs to get to a cave. "Let me go!" I yell, struggling against the hold of my two remaining partners. "We have to go after him!" "Stop, Gerard! Use your head!" Isabel exclaims. "We can't go against the creature with our bare hands. We can't. But we can't leave him, right?" Natasha speaks up next. We have to. Oh my god." The young woman is just unable to process the magnitude of our predicament. She lets go of my arm and stumbles away from us back to the safety of the ship. There's a bit of silence between Isabel and me as we both consider our options. We are all more than partners on a mission. We have all worked together on different tasks before. We are friends, and this journey turned us into a family. But Isabel has always beat me at quick thinking when facing a challenge. Her next words send chills down my entire body. "Gerard, before you make a choice, I need you to be extremely aware of a few things. We do not stand a chance against that creature. We don't know if there are more like it, and we are in their territory, Gerard. This is their home, and we don't know more than what satellite scans show us. We're nothing, Gerard. For those things, we can be a meal. We can be a toy. We could be a sacrifice. If we go looking for our friends, nobody will do the same for us. We might as well be alone in the universe right now. Like it or not, Thomas might be dead already. Going after him is a suicide mission if I've ever seen one. But I know that you're not going to leave him. And I refuse to lose 2 members of my team today. When Isabel was done talking, I smiled at her. I can feel my heart beating like it wants to burst out of my chest. I know we have never been this scared in our entire lives, but in a situation like this, having someone by your side just makes you feel invincible. We have weapons on the ship, I remind her. We don't even know if they would work on this planet, Isabel retorts. Tell that to Natasha, I reply with a grin. Then, Isabel turns around and sees what I had been watching over her shoulder. Natasha had just pulled every weapon stored in the ship for emergencies, and she was currently aiming some type of gun at the horizon. We watch, holding our breath, as Natasha pulls the trigger of the gun. It works. I have a feeling the bullet travels at a slightly slower pace than on Earth, and Natasha visibly loses her balance at the unfamiliar recoil in this gravity. But, damn, it works. We take as many weapons and tools as we can carry, and we go on our way. It's the beginning of our suicide mission, and nothing could have prepared me for what was to come. We approached the edge of the cliff, where the extraterrestrial disappeared with Thomas, and we began our descent. It's steep. It should be manageable, but I can shake off my mind that one wrong step could lead us to our death. The greenish rocks tremble and come loose as we step on them. We grit our teeth, tense our muscles, and keep walking. At some point, Isabel steps on an unsteady rock and loses her footing. She screams with everything she has until Natasha catches her in her arms. I don't want to die. I don't want to die, Isabel whispers again and again in a trembling voice. It's unsettling seeing firsthand the way high stakes manage to break down even the strongest of people. But then she blurts out, I don't want any of us to die here. And that's it. She's back, with renewed strength and moving even faster than before. We check the radar on our portable communication device. It shows that Thomas is nearby, so we know which way to go. But it also shows him offline. He can't hear us. We can't hear him. Dead or alive, his suit has suffered a malfunction. Finally, we reach the entry to a large cave, like a tunnel big enough for a truck to pass by comfortably. Inside, the rock loses its green tint and everything turns gray. The cave is endless darkness, and it makes my hair stand on end, feeling like it's a creature even bigger than the one before, waiting for us with open jaws, and we're willingly walking into its hungry insides. Although our suits are equipped with lights on our shoulders to show us the way, the overwhelming darkness around us forces us to turn on individual flashlights that we have to hold along with our guns. Slowly but surely, we move forward. The cave gets darker. The space starts to narrow. And the worst part is the ramifications of the main tunnel. The sensors tell us that Thomas is somewhere ahead of us, so we stick to the main path and hope for the best. But it's almost impossible not to wonder what's hiding in those other routes. Some of the other tunnels are so small that our monster couldn't have passed through them. Could they have been carved out by a different creature? Ancient rocks destroyed by the sheer power of extraterrestrial teeth and claws? Through some tunnels, Some currents of freezing or boiling hot air, so strong that the sensors in our suits go crazy and we have to walk faster before the temperature kills us. Then, there are the tunnels that feel alive. Have I lost my mind? I wonder. Maybe the fear has contaminated my brain, making me see things that aren't there. Tunnels that disappear. Openings on the walls of the cave that are there 1 second and completely covered the next. Tunnels that I swear move along with us. Holes that are breathing, yawning, making a trickery of us. Perhaps the worst one is the one Natasha spots before the rest of us. "Guys, don't look to your right," she says unexpectedly. Her words make me feel like there's ice flowing through my veins. And halfway through, she starts crying as she says, "Whatever you do, don't look. Please, trust me on this, if nothing else. You don't want this. If I tell you to run, do it. But I'm begging you not to look. Just don't look at it. Don't see them, please. Oh my God." When we're past that part of the tunnel, Isabel immediately turns around and takes Natasha in her arms. "Are you okay?" she asks repeatedly, but I fail to hear the other woman's answer. I'm distracted. In front of me, at the end of the tunnel, there's our Captain Thomas, my friend. But there's also a gigantic nest, and at least 2 of the monsters lying inside it. I feel like I'm in a daze as I approach the alien nest slowly. I can tell Thomas's helmet has cracked, and his suit is all dirty and torn in places. But the planet's atmosphere must be bearable for humans, since I can see his chest rise and fall rapidly. I'm not sure if... I have no idea if he will live to tell his tale, but he's still alive, and that's all I need to know. "Thomas! Hey, Tommy!" I whisper his name. My voice is trembling. It's like all at once the entire tunnel has gone quiet. The strange sounds, the footsteps, the whispers, the fluttering noises, the water dripping, everything coming from the dark corners have quieted down, and my words sound loud like thunder, but I keep going. "Tommy, come on. Wake up, please. It's me. Can you hear me?" There are only a few feet separating me from Thomas now. The second I see his eyelids start to flutter as he finally opens his eyes again, I know for sure in my heart that this was the right thing to do. But our problems are far from over. A grumbling sound makes me raise my head and look up at what's standing above Thomas. The 2 extraterrestrials are standing on their hind legs, very awake now, staring me down and baring their teeth at me. They open their jaws. I can't stop looking at their black eyes. I'm afraid those soulless depths would be the last thing I'll see when I die. And then there's a shot. Twin bullets go right through the center of these monsters' heads. They fall back screaming and writhing in pain, but somehow still alive. I have no time to ponder about their anatomy. Only then it clicks in my mind that these 2 are smaller than the one that took Thomas. That can only mean that we hurt, hopefully killed, that monster's babies. Thomas is crawling towards me now, and I run forward to help him to his feet. He's in so much pain, but still in one piece. I take one of his arms over my shoulders, and we turn around. Isabel and Natasha are still holding their guns. They look as terrified as us, but the 4 of us are alive and together. So if anything, we're stronger now than we enter this tunnel for the first time. "Get ready," I tell them. "It's time to escape this planet and kill any aliens that stand in our way."
Listen up, soldiers. Hold all your questions till the end of the briefing. Understood? Let's begin. The operation is codenamed Osiris. It is classified as level 5. Any breach of confidence will immediately follow a disbanding from the extragalactic operations of Orca, and the offender will be prosecuted under the highest penalty of law in the Galactic Union. A high-interest Epsilon planet has been discovered in Sector 26 of Messier 9. It has been classified as unclaimed and sitting in no man's land. Dead space. Recent activity on the rogue planet consists of a team from the Diplomatic Corps of the Galactic Union, secured of course by Orca 1. Their task was to set up a primary base of operations in the territory and land the GU flag. However, as of 5 months prior, all communication attempts with Orca 1 have failed. This is where you come in, Orca 2. Led by Commander Louis Ocampo, you will be dispatched with a 4-strong team on a scout cruiser to the sector. Your task will be to investigate the state of Orca 1 and secure planet Epsilon-074-M9 and await further instruction. You are expected to relay information on the state of Orca 1's operations and acquire the territory of Epsilon-074-M9 for the Galactic Union by setting up the first operational base in 5 centuries, should you of course discover that it was not first established by the first team. By Proclamation 13/78 of the Virgo Accords, you are allowed to use extreme measures for the acquisition of the Epsilon planet. Failure to establish a base will result in serious repercussions for the GU and its interests in Messier 9, as well as serious repercussions on all future extragalactic operations. The Epsilon planet is encapsulated between 2 aggressors to the GU. There are concerns of enemy bogies trying to retain the territory as neutral, since this is their buffer zone in an ongoing war. Additional concerns and risks from intergalactic raider groups operating in the area, of course. Use all available precautions when approached by unidentified vessels, but do not engage aggressors in their own territory. Extreme measures are restricted to dead space solely. You will be assigned a communications liaison on the team, of course, and a mission control officer in Extragalactic Operations HQ. However, all communications must be kept on a need-to-know basis. For security reasons, you will have no additional service and support, apart from your assigned mission control officer. Understood? Good. Dismissed.
Commander, Screamer patrol on an intercept course.
How long do we have to the dead space border?
Just a few clicks, Chief, but they'll get to us before we cross.
Shit. Are they hailing?
God's night, we didn't need to hear the fucking thing.
Translation.
Halt and prepare to be boarded.
What else were you expecting, Chief?
Do not approach dead space. On a continuous hail to drop out of impulse and await the boarding instructions.
Well, we all know that they're not setting foot on this cruiser.
Screamers engaging weapons. Should I prep the torpedoes, boss?
That's a negative, Lieutenant Smith. Hold. Lieutenant Commander West, take us as close to the border as you can before we seriously piss them off.
Yes, sir.
Then drop out of impulse and remain at the ready to engage engines again as soon as I give the command.
I like where you're going with this, Chief.
Silence on deck.
Full stop.
Hail them, Ensign Knight. Basic protocol.
Hail acknowledged. Instructions for boarding received.
Screamer patrol dropped out of impulse.
Hit it, Wes. Engage full impulse and do not halt until we cross the second dead space marker.
With pleasure, Chief.
West! Take it easy there. They'll have to scrape us off the cruiser.
Shut up, Smith.
Screamers?
On our 6.
Weapons charged and seems like they're more than willing to engage. Chief, orders?
Hold fire, Smith. Do not engage.
I think we should be careful. These screamers do love a fight.
Repeat, do not engage.
Approaching first marker, Chief. Dead space in 10.
Acknowledged.
9.
Warning shot.
8.
Hold
7,
fire.
6. 5. 4.
Second warning. Chief,
2,
the next one isn't gonna
1.
miss.
First marker on our tail. Steady forward onto second.
Screamers hailing, do not approach Lord of Silence. I think that's what they're calling the planet, sir. They've slowed on the first marker and it seems like they're going to make a full stop there.
Take us past the second marker, Wes. Do not slow down until we're out of range.
No retaliation, boss?
That's not why we're here, Smith. Tone it down.
Hull holding, sir.
Second marker in 3, 2, 1.
Smith?
Bogey out of range. But I wouldn't be surprised if they pull a fast one on us and follow us in, striking full force.
Continue in full impulse, West.
Sir, Screamer Patrol is hailing again.
Well?
Warning, sir. Planet under quarantine.
Huh? Bogey retreating, Chief.
Acknowledged, Smith. More information, Knight?
No, sir. No elaboration.
Huh. Probably trying to rattle us enough to get us to back off. West, half impulse. We can relax a bit and steady our approach.
Chief.
Long-range sensors, Doc?
Picking up Epsilon-074-M9. We're on course. Long-range sensors detecting something else in dead space as well, Chief. It's a vessel, but significantly larger than a patrol.
Screamer?
Not sure. It's a freighter-class vessel. Might be a Scorcher.
Is it live?
Out of range for biosigns. I'm worried it might even be one of their raider ships.
Yeah. What else would a freighter be doing way out here if it wasn't a pirate ship? Smith, ready those torpedoes, why don't you?
I thought you'd never ask.
Slow and cautious approach, West.
We're approaching the vessel, sir. Shouldn't we try a different route?
We have to investigate. If it's a raider ship, they might be holding our people. But I shouldn't be telling you that, Ensign. Standard protocol.
She's never seen raiders, Chief. Must be a bit scared. Aren't you, rookie?
No, sir. I'm just cautious. A single scout cruiser compared to a freighter doesn't seem like an equal fight.
Don't you worry. Raiders got nothing on orcas.
In sensor range, Chief. I'm not picking up any biosigns. And the ship has 0 juice. It looks like it has been here for a long time. Approximately 500 years, judging by the rate of deterioration of the hull.
That tracks with our brief.
From what I can tell from its make, it seems to be Scorcher.
Why would they just leave it here?
Simple answer, Knight. It wasn't valuable for anything. Not even for salvage, this one. Chief, the vessel has a massive hull breach close to their engineering. I'd say pretty much everyone on board died instantly, considering the amount of radiation that must have leaked during the explosion.
Any residual traces on the outer hull on who might have dealt the blow?
And judging by the location of the breach and its shape, I think they either had a massive malfunction and the engines blew up on them, or...
Or?
The self-destruct might have engaged.
Why?
Calm down, Ensign. This used to be part of the war zone centuries ago. Sometimes, you have no other choice.
Well, dead space was never really a fighting ground as far as I knew. I've heard rumors about this planet and the dead space surrounding it. If I were you, I wouldn't believe the whole buffer zone spiel they gave us.
Wasn't this part of M9 just discovered by GU Central?
I think they've known about it for a while now, Doc. Some strange shit went down here a millennium ago, if you listen to Scorcher lore.
Stop it, Smith. We don't need to hear the conspiracy theories you picked up from your drinking buddies.
I assure you, West, I have reliable sources.
I don't know if it's a laughing matter, West. I've also heard that a lot of planets are being kept secret even from extragalactical operations, and that a lot of the scouting vessels never made it back home.
You too, Doc? Come on. You probably heard that when you were a rookie. They always fill rookies' heads with shit like that. Ghost stories and whatnot.
I haven't heard anything like that, Lieutenant Commander.
That's enough chatter. West, adjust course for Epsilon-074-M9.
Chief, we're not going to investigate the derelict ship? We might get an idea of what we would be dealing with on the planet.
No bioscience. That was all the investigating we needed.
Yeah. Besides, we might find something we shouldn't.
What are you talking about? Stop terrorizing Doc and the rookie. It's her first mission, for Christ's sake.
Using the Lord's name in vain. Oh, wow. I must have done it now.
Heathen.
Enough! Behave, you two. How soon till touchdown, West?
Approximate arrival at 0300, Chief.
Let's hope we won't find any live ones waiting for us there.
Chief?
We're not investigating further, Doc.
No, not that. One more vessel showing up on scans. It's the Orca 1 cruiser in geostationary orbit around Epsilon-074-M9.
In orbit?
That's against planet procurement protocol.
Good observation, Knight. Any damage, Doc?
It seems all good, but...
Let me guess. No bioscience.
Correct.
What the hell happened? It's not like Scott to abandon ship like that. Anything on the planet?
A whole lot of nothing, Chief. At least nothing organic. The only thing I can tell you is that the planet is an oddball. Scans have it as a perfect sphere, mostly made of metals. Some are even unarchived in our database.
Now why do I get the feeling that we weren't given the full story by Ajax?
Might I answer that?
No!
Epsilon-074-M9 docking platform, Chief.
Smooth touchdown, Wes. Nice work. Knight, hail mission control. Doc, give me a full rundown of the scanner readings.
Yes, sir.
Where do I start, Chief?
Immediate surroundings, Doc. We don't want to be blindsided by whatever might be here that's not our team.
No breathable atmosphere at our current level, if any atmosphere at all. There are some residual traces of a shield, but it must have collapsed a very long time ago.
What kind of shield can collapse, leaving residual traces?
Metal, Chief, or some kind of alloy. I haven't come across anything remotely similar before, and the materials used in its construction are not in our database. If this wasn't a planet, I would have called it the outer hull of a ship.
That's weird.
Surface safe for EVA?
Mostly metal, with ground temp at approximately -10 Celsius.
But warm for a rogue, isn't she?
Yes, actually. Very surprising for a planet like this one.
Should I even dare ask?
No biosigns detected so far.
Shit. I guess Orca 1 finally met their match.
Wow, Chief. Never expected you to lose hope so fast.
Hope is for children, Wes. I thrive on facts. Objective facts. Fact 1. No biosigns. Fact 2. Cruiser in orbit. And Fact 3. The cruisers have an automated system that will launch them into orbit if there's a threat.
But only to protect the remaining crew.
And what was our first fact?
I'll increase the range of our sensors and do a full sweep of the planet again and the vessel in orbit. Since we're working with facts here, there's a lot of interference with our scans, so they might have just found shelter somewhere.
Thank you for convincing me to stay, Doc. I thought after that initial scan we could just pack up our shit and head back immediately.
Sir, Hell sent to mission control, and there's a new brief waiting for you on a secure channel. Level 7, sir. For your ears only.
7? Alright. Transfer it to my comms, Ensign. Before I take this, Doc, is that all?
Detected several structures from 5 clicks ahead, all metal. So far, that's all the initial scans can tell me of the surface. Generally, seems very scant.
That'll have to do for now. Knight, take over the scans from Doc. He'll be joining Wes, Smith, and myself in the EVA team. The rest of you, start prepping. And Smith, pack light, but deadly, yeah? We need to move swiftly, but take into account any circumstance that might occur.
Oh, Chief, we got those brand new destroyer rifles I've been itching to try out. I think they'll fit the mark.
Alright, Ajax. Let's see what that level 7 is all about.
Commander Ocampo, if you're hearing this brief, I expect you must have arrived at your destination alive and well. I salute you. I'll make this short and sweet. Level 7 has a punishable by death clause, so do not get any ideas in involving any other Orca 2s in this task. Operation Osiris has an addendum that was purposely kept classified. We had received viable intel that Captain Joanna Scott, leader of Orca 1, has gone, well, off books. Captain Scott has been fraternizing with the enemy on both sides of the dead space border, and might have even been assembling a little raider team of her own. Of course, I'm sorry to inform you so late in your operation, but there's a big chance she led our people on Epsilon-074-M9 right into an ambush constructed by herself. At the moment of recording this, we have no intel on her specific goals in this sector, but you know our Joe. She must have been planning something big. We can only presume what her interests are in acquiring the planet for herself. Your task, and yours solely, is to terminate the captain with extreme prejudice. We do not want any remaining diplomats to get in the crossfire. Do you understand? If you are asking yourself, why me? Well, Louis, it's because you know her best, And we are sure that considering your previous missteps in the GU, you will be inclined to pull the trigger without remorse. Good luck, Commander. I hope this message found you well.
Putang ina mo. What the fuck did you do, Joe?
Comms check.
All clear.
Receiving you loud and clear on command deck as well, sir.
Okay. Main channel remains open and active until further notice. Switch on the bow-facing lights, Ensign. Let's see where this rogue is hiding her people.
Yes, sir. Both side lights check. Expect full illumination in the next few clicks.
We only have a visual of the platform, Ensign.
It's like the light is shining into nothing.
I don't know about that. There's something in the distance, but I can't make out what it is.
Stop speculating. Either way, we need to get there. Docking platform clear. Doc and I proceeding front. West and Smith have our back.
I have a visual of the EVA team, Commander. Scans clear. Showing only the building structure 5 clicks ahead. Proceed with caution.
Maybe that's what I'm seeing.
And you're always seeing things.
We won't be able to rely on those lights for much longer, Chief.
Looks like we got a big drop ahead, Ensign.
Voiding my scans. Nothing showing up.
Sounds about right.
Moving closer to the end of the platform. Knight, hold for instructions. We might need tethers to get off this thing.
I already hate this place.
As dark as the depths of the underworld.
Hell, more like it.
We'll just have to wait and see, West.
Chief, there's some kind of metal staircase at our 10, but, it's not looking great. A lot of corrosion.
I don't like the sound of that. Better safe than...
I'll check it out, Chief.
Smith, hold. Do not
I've
attempt...
scaled worse. This is like a walk in the park.
Disobeying a direct order already. If there's anything we'll have to scrape you off from, champ, this planet will surely be it.
No, worried West?
Smith, stop. Do not go over that railing.
Setting up the tethers would take ages. Wouldn't you rather?
Smith? Fuck. Knight, full sensor sweep. And get the tethers ready. We've lost Smith.
Yes, sir. On it.
Come in, champ. Are you there?
All eyes on the staircase.
That is a long drop. My light doesn't even reach the bottom.
Smith, come in, man.
Does anyone see anything? All I'm picking up is a hole in the railing. Staircase itself seems intact.
Same, Chief.
Nothing on scans, but I'm barely picking you up as well, sir. Some serious interference when you got closer to...
I don't see him. Smith.
Movement. I have movement a few meters down.
I see it. Wait for the tethers. And that's a fucking order, Wes. Don't you get any ideas, too?
He might not have time to wait.
Doc, help Knight with the...
Chief.
Smith. Status.
Tell...
Are you okay?
Status, Lieutenant.
Tell Gwen...
What? Tell me what, champ. Stay with us.
that she's not getting rid of me that easily.
Smith, status. Now.
It's all good, Chief. Just be careful of that railing as you come down.
Smith, you ass.
I should have you fucking court-martialed.
You better start moving down. It's a long way to the bottom of that staircase. I'm still only a third way down from what I can tell.
Commander, I'm not getting his biosigns on my scans.
I knew that would become a problem, Chief.
That's probably why we're not picking up Orca 1. Anything on their cruiser?
Still nothing, sir.
I don't get why the interference is blocking us from scanning in orbit. Maybe I should go back and help Knight, Chief.
You have to be here, Doc. Knight can handle it.
Understood.
Smith, we're coming down. Don't do anything stupid.
I wasn't kidding when I said I'd have you in front of a judge when we return to GU Central.
Quit talking and start walking. I think I see something.
Don't talk to your superior officer like that.
What do you see, Smith?
I can't describe it. I can barely tell what it is.
Quit playing games, Smith. The three of us are on your tail. Your dumb shit can cost us our heads.
Almost at the bottom level. Whoa!
I'm going to kill him.
Calm down, Chief. I'm catching up to him. Smith, slow down, man.
You're not gonna believe this.
Chief, on your 3.
Is that...
Sure looks like it.
Who were these people?
What I'd like to know is what happened that made them abandon this place.
If they abandoned it.
Now I understand why GU wants this planet so badly.
I don't think they want the planet just for this.
What is it? What do you see?
Those structures we picked up on our scans. inside night. There. They look like...
They're freaking pyramids, rookie!
How can you see them?
The lights from the cruiser. We could only barely see the peaks from the platform now that I think about it. Huh. I couldn't have even guessed what that was a moment ago.
I think you would really like this, Knight. The light from the cruiser is being reflected all around the place from the metallic surfaces.
We've reached the ground level, Knight. Main channel remains open. Get those tethers in place just in case we run into some trouble.
How are we gonna find Orca 1 without the scanners, boss? This place is insane! And huge.
We'll sweep the entire planet, pyramid by pyramid, if we have to, Smith.
Fun.
Eyes peeled. Proceed with caution. We still don't know what we're dealing with.
Chief!
Starting sweep with the closest structure to our front. Ensign, keep scanning.
This is all metal, even the ground. I thought there was a glitch in our scanners when I saw the readings as we approached the planet. What the hell is this place?
Eyes on the prize, Doc. We're not on an expedition.
It is amazing, though, Chief. These pyramids are like nothing I've ever seen, not in M9 or any other sector I've been dispatched to before.
I don't like it.
Of course.
It's weird, Smith. Just metal and darkness. Quiet as a graveyard. I just do not like it.
It is as unsettling as it is exciting, I'll be honest.
Hear that, Chief? Half your team is scared.
Silence. I don't want to hear another word from you.
More than half. I'm guessing none of you want to hear what I've picked up about our planet here, do ya?
Shush.
What is it, West?
11 o'clock.
Stop. Hold in place. I don't have a visual of anything.
Shit. West, that's what I saw earlier.
I thought you meant...
No, I mean that. I saw that, whatever that is.
Optical illusion.
No, sir. Look. It's moving.
The apparition is moving toward the second structure. Should we follow, Chief?
Up higher. No. Hold. Let's see how it behaves first.
Oh, not.
Auxiliary channel.
She's not responding, Chief.
The apparition is moving out of view. What are we gonna do, Chief?
Too much interference.
Hold, Knight. I don't see it anymore. Anyone else got a visual?
Just turn a corner behind the first pyramid.
Affirmative. I saw the same.
Chief.
Any readings of our current position, Knight?
Sir, I completely lost you there for a moment. Not even biosigns. Reading you barely as is. Nothing else in the vicinity is showing up.
Shit. We're fucking blind.
Told you.
I don't think the portable scanner would have been any better. Something here is blocking us.
As in, with intention?
Well, that's not what I meant, Chief, but...
He wouldn't be surprised.
Smith, could you please not put words into my mouth?
Fine. We're moving in on the second pyramid. Following the
apparition.
Following the apparition. Since that's the only thing moving here, it seems like our best starting point.
Should Smith and I take the front, sir?
No. Doc, you're with me up front. The two of you stay close, but give us some breathing room. I don't want it taking us all down simultaneously if it comes to it.
Affirmative.
Got it, Knight?
Yes, sir. Main channel remains open per protocol, and tethers are in place.
Let's move.
Did you take a good look at it, Chief?
No. I thought it was just another reflection. Why? What did you see?
You'll think I'm crazy.
Corner! Smith, West. Hold and wait for an all clear.
I think it looked like...
Quiet. Focus up front. Speak only if you see something again. Hold, Doc. Damn it. I got nothing.
It's gone.
All clear. Proceeding towards second pyramid. Everything looks exactly the same, Knight. Metal pyramids and tight corridors between them.
It's something else seeing the pyramids from this perspective, Knight.
So far, there's no sign that anyone from the first team made it this far.
Chief, I don't know if you noticed, but there was no entrance to the first pyramid.
Meaning, West?
Well, maybe they did pass here and constructed the base further in.
The more we stay here, the more I doubt that.
You sound a bit rattled there, Chief.
Stop it, Smith.
And for the record, Doc, I don't think you're crazy. Whatever that was, it did not look like anyone or anything from GU.
Or like it had any form whatsoever.
Visual on second pyramid. Gods, this one is even bigger than the
There it is!
Shit, I see it. Not an optical illusion, all right. Doc, move in fast. Smith and West, you know the drill. There's an opening on the side of the pyramid. It's going in. Following inside. Doc, I'll lead. Smith and West, all clear to follow, but remain at the entrance until further notice.
Be careful, sir.
Doc, on your 6, Chief. Coming close to the entrance. Damn, it's even darker in there. But I see it moving way down in the distance now. Doc, move, move, move. Let's get out of this corridor. I think there's an open space up front. It's moving away.
Easy on the approach, Chief.
We're gonna lose it. Move!
Wait. Lose that comms.
Doc, here, Chief. It's gone. Vanished. Entering the open area ahead. Proceed with extreme caution, Doc.
Holy Osiris, that's one big chamber.
Let's hope it's not a burial chamber for the first team.
You think the apparition is hiding somewhere around here?
You sound just like Smith. I don't like that. Besides, in this darkness, I can't tell if there are any more corridors or tunnels or whatever we just passed through. Maybe it's already out by the rate it was moving.
Sweep?
Sweep. I'll take the right, you go to the left. Stay by the walls. The structure might be as unstable as the staircase.
Understood, Chief.
You trying to call it out with a song? Hey, Smith. Nothing to say about that? Smith? Come in. West, respond.
The comms must be glitching again.
Ensign Knight, comms check.
I guess we're on our own, Chief. The metals in the pyramid must be blocking the comms signal to the outside. Maybe it's the same material that's been interfering with our scanners. And if this whole structure is made out of that...
Let's not stay too long then. I don't want us isolated like this. Shit. I got nothing on my side, just smooth metal walls. I'm not mistaken when I say that the walls seem to be curving too, right?
The whole chamber is circular, cut perfectly.
You see anything?
Nothing unusual. I just see you up ahead.
Yep, I got you too. Any other exits or entrances other than the one we came in?
Negative.
I didn't see anything either. Let's, check this place out for any signs of Orca 1. Then join the rest and check out the first pyramid. Move in toward the center of the chamber and head to the exit.
Chief, can I ask you something honestly?
Why wouldn't you?
What do you think might have happened here?
The first team? Man, I don't really know what to tell you. Raiders, Screamers, Scorchers, apparitions. It could be anything.
Their cruiser in orbit changes everything though, doesn't it?
Look at this place. Maybe they just got lost.
What if they dropped down on a different docking platform?
The coordinates to the docking location were pre-coded in the system by GU according to the last transmission sent by Orca 1.
Did GU also suggest we go through Screamer territory?
That was me. The Scorchers run an even tighter border patrol line. On all their borders. Damn, Doc, we would not have escaped so easily. Wait, stop moving.
What?
Look at the floor.
What in the hell is that?
It looks like a circular opening in the ground, leading into a shaft even further down. How many levels does this planet have?
The construction of everything we've seen so far tells me this planet is no ordinary planet. The vast amounts of knowledge and skill to construct structures like this on a rogue suggest a very advanced civilization inhabited it a long time ago.
Yeah, but you don't find the structures odd? I mean, look at this. It's
a super advanced civilization.
I get that. I meant odd, as in, I see no use for these structures by the way they seem to be constructed. No apparent use, anyway.
They're definitely not buildings constructed for living quarters. No markings, nothing.
Yeah. Not a scratch on them. Like no one ever stepped foot here. Like no living soul walked between the walls of the pyramid, or around it. I wonder if all of these structures are the same.
Sounds like you're the one itching to turn this operation into an archaeological expedition.
I'm not just being curious, Doc.
Maybe what we're looking for is down through the shaft. Although, I doubt Captain Scott would choose to set up base where no one can find it on scanners.
Don't be so sure about that.
However...
What? Do you think they also encountered that apparition?
What if it's not as benign as it looks? I have to admit that part of me feels like we're being led to the slaughter here. Wait, shut up.
Pardon?
Listen.
I don't...
Shh. It's coming from down the shaft. You don't hear that?
That sounds like Smith's new rifles, Doc.
No, wait. Down the shaft. I think I see something down there.
Move! Fall back!
Wait!
I'm in the corridor. Move, Doc!
Shit! Right behind you, Chief. Die! Gwen!
Smith!
Come on! Wait! Picture! Bogey! Attack!
On our way! Out of the pyramid in seconds.
Not! Gwen!
West. Come in, West. Status. Get ready, Jones. I see their lights.
Ready, Chief.
Smith! Talk to me.
Gwen!
Holy fuck. West is down. Doc, take care of West. I'll get Smith. Smith, it's Ocampo. It's me. Calm down. Get yourself together, soldier.
Checking her status.
Gwen!
Lieutenant, stop whining. What the fuck happened?
The apparition. I don't know what it is. But it came back.
I'm gonna need more than that, Smith.
Commander, I've lost comms again. What's happening?
Knight, get medbay ready and attach the med pod to the tethers. West is down. More information in a minute. Smith, come on, champ. Calm the hell down.
It came out of nowhere. I fired. Then Gwen, I don't know what happened. I couldn't see it. I could just feel its presence. Gods. I wasn't just imagining it, right? I didn't shoot her, right?
Doc?
No sign of fire on her suit. Very faint pulse, Chief.
Who attacked you? Who did you see? Was it someone from Orca 1?
What? No. It wasn't.
Was it the, apparition? Was that what it was?
Yes. Yes, I think that's what it was. And it came straight at us this time. It was powerful. My gods, it was fucking powerful. I could feel it. I can't tell you how. I just could. And Gwen, West just jumped in front of me at one point. I don't know what she was thinking. I don't know what she was doing. What she was thinking. That was so stupid. That was so stupid.
So, you're telling me that we're dealing with some kind of... what? Alien force? What is it?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think you'd believe me.
But Chief, her suit is leaking oxygen. I can't find the tear to patch it up. It must be small.
Can you give me more details on her status, Doc?
She's alive. That's all I can tell you for now.
Medpod ready. Getting it in position on the tethers.
Acknowledged, Knight. How much oxygen does West have?
Not a lot. We have to move fast. We have to get her back to the cruiser immediately.
Smith, on your feet. What the hell has rattled you up this bad, big guy? I've never seen you like this. You have to get your shit together. We need to get out of here. Holster your weapon and get on your feet. Don't make me repeat myself for the third time, soldier. Control yourself. We need your help to carry Gwen to the tethers.
I'll carry her.
Doc, is she ready for transport?
Not much else I can do here, Chief.
Let's fall back to the cruiser. I'll take front. Smith's with West. You got our backs, Doc. Got it?
Chief.
And keep your eyes peeled for anything, or anyone, Doc. Got it?
Come on, Gwen. Let's get you safe.
Is she gonna make it, Doc?
I don't know what's wrong with her yet, Smith. There's no entry wounds that I can find from a weapon, no sign of any kind of force used to render her like this. Can you tell what kind of weapons the bogies used?
I mean, I couldn't say there were more of them. It was just... I didn't get a good look. I just felt...
Weapons, Smith. You're the weapons expert. What's the use if you can answer a simple question?
No weapons, Chief.
What did this then?
I could feel...
Feel? You're a soldier, damn it. And that's not a fucking answer. Give us facts, Lieutenant. You want Doc to help Gwen, don't you?
That's cruel, Chief.
Fucking hell.
Commander Ocampo, a word?
I'll be right with you, Ensign. What else can you determine about West's condition, Doc?
Paralysis. Her body isn't responding to anything. Her brain is functioning perfectly, however.
So what does that mean?
I'm stumped, Chief.
Sir, a word, please. It's about the scans of the cruiser in orbit.
I said I'll be right there, Ensign. Do I have to hold everyone's hand around here? Does anyone know how to do their fucking job? My best soldier is laying unconscious on the slab, and I don't have any more patience for any of your shit. And that goes especially for you, Smith. Get your head on straight and tell Doc everything he needs to know. I'll be back to hear the full story myself. You got that? What did you find, Ensign? Do I need to repeat myself?
One biosign in the cruiser that's in orbit. However, I keep losing it constantly. It appears and reappears.
What?
The interference...
I know it's interference. Could you read who it is?
No, sir, and they're not responding to my hails. I can't be sure if they've even received them.
Okay, continue scanning and hailing. That's top priority. I need to know who's there and what state they are in ASAP.
Yes, sir.
Now hold on. You look like you have something more to say.
The scanners have encountered the same problem while reading the surface, but one of my readings suggests there's breathable air in the lower levels of the planet, like a pocket of air.
Maybe that's down that shaft Doc and I found. How many levels did you detect? Anything else you can tell me about this pocket you detected?
High levels of a few heavier elements, but nothing that would be dangerous for a short stay without suits.
Did you detect any biosigns there? Anything else you can tell me that's not just half information?
It's very warm there too. There seems to be a heat source, so even if I try looking for heat signatures in the biosigns range, I have a problem differentiating what I'm seeing.
Top-level scanning tech, my ass.
The problem is not in our tech, sir. A lot of the metrics are simply incalculable. We're blind here because most of this hasn't ever been archived in our database. Alloys and materials never seen before, by us or by anyone from Messier 9, that we share information with, sir.
So what Doc was saying previously?
Yes, Commander. This rogue planet has almost nothing in common with the area surrounding it.
But that makes no sense at all.
Unless it's not a planet.
Okay. Let's not get all crazy here and leave the speculation to the scientists. Just give me the information I need to complete this fucking mission.
That's all I got, sir. But, I'd like to ask what you saw down there, sir.
I have trouble understanding it myself. Maybe I was too rough with Smith, wasn't I?
Sir.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's see what has made our champ act like a big baby. Anything, Doc?
You're not gonna like it. I don't think Smith saw anything. Let me lead with that. Whatever this tech was, it isn't something we've encountered before. It's so insanely sophisticated that it attacked West's body on a molecular level. I suspect West was rendered defenseless even before she understood what was happening.
How did she know to jump in front of Smith?
She could feel it too. Don't look at me like that, Chief.
Can you revive her?
She's alive, Chief, but I can't seem to bring her into consciousness, if that's what you're asking. The only thing I haven't tried is smelling salts at this point.
Smelling salts?
Ancient medical practice. is trying to be funny at the wrong time.
One thing I don't understand at all is that her mind is very active, Chief. In fact, the activity in her brain is even higher than what's considered normal for a conscious, walking person, let alone the state she seems to be in. It's the rest of her body that doesn't seem to be getting signals from her brain.
So, some kind of neurotech?
Possibly, yes, but the more difficult question is...
What kind?
Is the damage it has done reversible? I would boil it down to a very horrible scenario, Chief. West is essentially trapped inside her own mind, and the state of her mind? I shudder to think. I doubt she's dreaming going by my scans.
Gods, Gwen, why did you have to...
Don't do that to yourself. I've seen many men go down that path. It won't do you or West any favors.
So now you're saying that it's not my fault?
I never said that it was. But I was too rough with you before. I apologize. I overstepped and led with anger. Come on, say it.
If you ever talk to me like that again, I'll punch you straight to Osiris's kingdom, Chief.
Noted, champ. Crystal clear. Now that we have that behind us, let's figure out our next steps. Doc, I'm guessing West will need medical supervision?
And more tests.
Alright. Can you do that and take over Knight's duties? I'd like to go back down to the pyramids and check out the lower levels down the shaft.
Do you really think it's wise to be going back down there? This kind of tech can take 3 of you out in a heartbeat, less even.
We don't have a choice. We must locate Orca 1.
I don't know how to prevent this tech from affecting you, Lewis.
We've been in worse situations, Xavier.
I doubt it.
So, what if the only surviving member of the first team is in the cruiser?
And what if the rest are passed out cold somewhere down that shaft like West here? I can't take that chance. We have a mission. The Orcas don't quit until the job is done. Understood, Ensign?
Yes, Commander Ocampo, but what if it's Captain Scott up there?
What would make you say that, Ensign?
The
The fact of the matter is that we don't know who's up there or why. The Orca 1 cruiser seems to be dead in the water anyway. Didn't you say so yourself? The planet remains our priority.
Commander!
This conversation is over, Ensign. Doc, you have command of the cruiser. Knight and Smith, with me. That's an order.
Doc, switch to auxiliary channel.
Yes, Chief.
I want you to seal the cruiser. Pull back the tethers and all.
Why?
Just do it, man. I can't argue with you too.
Yes, sir.
You'll essentially be on your own once we go down there. No comms, remember? If, and this is a huge if, anyone from Orca 1 contacts you from their cruiser or shows up at your doorstep, proceed with extreme caution. Got that? Treat anyone outside of Orca 2 as a potential threat.
Sounds like there was something in that level 7.
No comment. Just follow my orders. And for once in your life, don't second guess everything, Xavier.
Lewis?
Yes?
Watch your back, my friend, and take care of Knight.
You know my team is always a priority. Switching back to main channel. Lieutenant Jones, we've already cleared the staircase and are closing in on the first pyramid.
Gwen was right. There's no entrance to this one.
Your descriptions did not do this place justice. However, Lieutenant Jones, I'm going to have to say that it's more unsettling than it is exciting. Very unsettling. It's like we're not supposed to be here. Maybe this place was abandoned for a reason. What if the Screamers weren't lying about the quarantine?
Scorchers call this place Silent Death.
Enough, Smith.
After what happened to Gwen, you still think we were given the whole story?
I know the whole story.
What is it then?
Chief, our hails are being answered from the Orca 1 cruiser.
Who? Jones, hold. Team, are we hearing that?
What is that?
It's coming from the second pyramid!
Move in, move in. On the double.
Chief?
Shit! I'm out of ammo!
Where are
Shelter,
they?
Smith. Night, location.
Fucking everywhere!
No! It's too dark!
Where the fuck are they attacking from?
All around!
Stay down. Repeat, stay down.
I'll be out of ammo soon.
Continue firing as long as you can, Knight. Do you have a visual on Smith?
No, I can't see him.
treated. Report.
Clear. I see you, Chief. Coming your way.
Smith, what's your status?
I can't move. My right side. I can't move it at all.
Can you grab your light and signal?
I dropped my rifle. I don't see it. I can't find it.
Knight, sweep for Smith.
Last I saw him, he was near the shaft.
Move in.
There.
I got him. Knight, run out and alert Jones of her situation.
Yes, sir.
I'm coming over to you, champ. Pain levels?
No pain. I can't feel anything. Is it weird that I wish it hurt?
How close did it get to you? Did you make a visual of the bogey this time?
No. Oh man. I don't know if I'm gonna make it out.
You will. We'll carry you back.
The hell you will.
I won't leave you behind, Lieutenant. How are your oxygen levels? Any leaks?
Ah, shit, I forgot to check. Damn. Chief, it appears I'm leaking my life fuel.
Fuck. What the hell is taking Knight so long? We need to get you back.
Boss, don't leave me here like this. In the dark.
I won't, I promise. I just need to check on Knight. We'll be right back to get you.
Take me with you.
I can't carry you alone. Stay down.
My rifle?
Shit. Wait a second. I can't find it. You'll have to brave this one through, champ. I know I got it in you. I'll come back for you.
Don't leave me alone here, Chief.
Knight? Why are you just standing here at the entrance? Did you contact Jones? Knight?
Lewis, I'm glad you could join us.
Scott?
Yours truly. I knew they would send you after me. I guess this is as good of a time for a reunion as any.
Where are you?
On your cruiser. Doc says hello. Don't blame him for not blocking up as instructed. I'm very convincing. Even though he's very loyal. To a fault. Shame. I could use a medic like him on my team.
Don't dare put a single finger on him, Scott.
I won't. But they will.
What do you want?
Lewis. Is that the way to treat your former mentor? I think your ensign knows about your top secret mission addendum. We can safely say that, on or off this planet, she's already dead.
Not if I have anything to say about it.
Still as arrogant as the day I met you. Don't worry. You'll learn soon enough that some things are far greater than what you or I are capable of understanding. Maybe that'll teach you some humility.
I might not understand what you want yet, Joe. But we both know that I won't flinch when I get close enough to pull the trigger. That's just a fact.
Ajax really has a hold on you, doesn't she? What does she have over your head? On second thought, don't tell me. It doesn't matter.
Threatening my people will only make me more determined to terminate you.
You have this all wrong, Lewis. I'm not threatening you or your people. I'm offering you a chance to save yourselves from a fate like the one that struck your second in command.
You did that to Wes?
Gods, no. But I hope to soon be able to control what did.
All right. Why don't you tell me what that is, so we can be on equal footing here, Joe?
Doc didn't complete his tests on Lieutenant Commander West? If you would have waited a little bit more, instead of running off to find me and kill me, you would have known by now.
Just tell us. What's wrong with West, and what does that have to do with you?
Calm your nerves, Ensign. Don't let her get into your head.
Are you just going to stand there, or are you going to come here and face me, Lewis? Just to let you know before you make your decision, this sphere might be vast, but I know every nook and cranny. And I also possess something else that you don't.
A team of raiders?
Oh, my colleagues are the least of your problems.
Auxiliary Channel, Knight. Do you read?
Sir?
I've got a feeling that she's just pushing for time. We need to get back to Smith. He's hurt and leaking oxygen from his suit. Doc will have to handle himself for now.
Sir, I think there's something she knows about the planet that we don't. Maybe we should try getting that out of her before we do anything else.
She's just toying with us.
Respectfully, I disagree. I think that's why she's here. There is something here that she wants, not the planet, something else. And I think it's connected to what has happened to West, sir.
We don't have much time.
We also have no room for error.
Switching back channels.
You there? I think you haven't been listening. It's rude to ditch someone mid-conversation like that.
Let's cut the crap, Scott. We're not going to come over there. In fact, I think you'll need to come get us. We're clearly still alive for some reason. So I'll ask again. What do you want?
Control over this sphere. What can I say? I'm a simple woman with simple needs.
If only.
Tell us what you know about what happened to West.
Why, exactly? It's not like you have any leverage over me, kid. I think I'm the one holding all the cards here. Besides, I can't help your teammate. It's already too late for her. It was too late the moment she dropped to the ground.
What the hell does that even mean?
It means that my team and yours aren't the only ones inhabiting this sphere at the moment. However, unlike you, I actually know what I'm up against, and I have ways to protect my people. Can you say the same, Lewis? Can you protect this child under your command from the shitstorm that's about to unfold?
Fuck you, Scott.
Why do you keep calling it a sphere?
'Cause you still don't know, do you?
Chief, follow the shaft to the core.
Naughty boy, Doc. Now we're going to have to teach you a lesson about interrupting conversations.
Doc!
Scott!
I don't want to hurt Doc. There's no honor in torturing a fellow soldier. But he just doesn't want to give me the codes to your vessel. And I need your cruiser to collect something that's waiting for me in orbit. Will you give me the codes, Ensign?
No, Knight! Don't do it!
Be afraid. Right.
Sir, stop! Let me walk! Stop! I won't say anything! Stop!
Do not run back and give her the codes. That's...
An order! Yeah, I wasn't going to do that, sir. I'm no fool.
You're not, but you have a good heart. I was afraid you would do anything to save Doc. I know how much you respect him.
Heart didn't get me into the orcas. My mind did.
And persistence. Sorry, I mistrusted you.
What's done is done. Have some faith in me next time, sir. Giving her the codes would have been potentially dangerous to all of us. Who knows what she hid up there? Better yet, who?
Let's focus on finding Smith and worry about that later, shall we? I left him by the shaft.
I hope he's still there. In body and mind.
Smith, do you hear us, chap? Maybe he passed out if he was running low on oxygen.
That would be the best case scenario, sir.
Move in on the shaft. Sweep around it.
Yes, sir.
Seeing anything?
Metal. And more metal. Smith, where are you, man?
Closing in on your position, Knight. No visual on Smith on my side either.
What are we going to do, sir?
We can't go back. And we can't stay here. Scott will probably have her goons after us already.
I still think we should have tried to get more information out of her.
That wouldn't have worked. I'm surprised she even told us the little that she did.
Wait a second.
What's on your mind, Knight?
If all of her men were in the cruiser with her, then what the hell were we shooting at in here?
Knight, did you already know that it could have been Scott here when we got to the pyramid? Did you listen to the level 7 message?
No,
don't tell me. The less I know, the better. If we manage to get off this piece of shit planet, I can lie for you with better conviction.
Thanks? None of that answers my question, though, sir.
I know.
She said that something else inhabits the planet.
I know.
Is it possible that it's another raider group working in the area like we were briefed?
Knight, I don't think that we're dealing with raiders here, apart from Scott.
Maybe we should have listened to what Smith had to say.
And maybe we should have investigated the derelict ship like Doc said. A lot of maybes inside, but they won't do us any good now.
So, what's the plan, Chief?
Find Smith. That's the plan. Then rescue Doc and West.
You don't believe what Scott said about West?
Not until Doc confirms it for me. What?
You do have hope, Chief. It's just buried deep inside that stony exterior. West would have been happy. The sound is coming from the shaft. To the core, like Doc said.
Sounds like a bad idea.
It's the only idea. Besides, if there's any error in the lower levels like my scans showed, there's a huge chance that Smith could be down there. And alive.
Alright, I'll take your lead on this one, Knight. That should settle it. Looks like the only way to go is down.